Not everyone's a grandmaster. But that doesn't mean these stars aren't some of the greatest creators and people in chess.
Oh!
The poor eval bar.
That was one of the most exhilarating games I've been a part of.
Presenting the best of the best
Oh, the rook!
that aren't the best.
Oh, Danny.
The I'm Not a GM Speed Chess Championship 2022.
Oh
King.
no.
We've seen the first Botez Gambit. What a way to start off.
Evan would not be proud, Alex.
Watch your favorite creators scramble.
And now Levy's up. It's me! It's me! Rook F1's me! Oh my goodness!
Blunder.
Oh, Queen F7 mate! Queen F7 mate!
And play some brilliancies.
Wait, it's stalemate! What a find! What a find by Lars! That was amazing!
Watch live on chess.com/TV.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the I Am Not a GM Speed Chess Championship, heretofore abbreviated as the IMSCC. I'm Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky. My partner in crime today, once again, the one and only Grandmaster Robert Hess. Robert, this is an event that we hype up a lot, but for very good reason.
We certainly do, Danya. Great to be alongside you again. And this tournament is unique compared to many others. We're used to seeing the Grand Chess Tours and all the other SCCs where we have a good sense of all the participants from their over-the-board chess play. Here we get to see some of the top content creators and amazing chess players in their own right duke it out for a spot for the title.
And of course, today's match is particularly hyped. But first, let's take a look at the overall bracket and discuss some of the names that we see in this bracket. Some of the hypest of the hype matches we have in round one. Over on the right-hand side of your screen, you have a Sabaeva Sukandar, two incredibly strong players. Justice Williams against Danny Wrench. That is going to be a barn burner. And today's match is over on the bottom right, Levy Rozman against Nemo. What other matches catch your eye?
Well, this one certainly does. It's GothamChess. It is Nemo.
Right.
And, you know, this matchup is one that people are going to be very excited about because these are two of the most popular content creators. Of course, Levy with the biggest chess YouTube channel, and Nemo in her own right does a great job with all of her content. Her audiences are growing day by day. So the 3 seed, the 14 seed. But as we zoom out for a second, and you asked me what other matchups catch my eye, how could I not say Danny Wrench against Justice Williams? When you get the chief chess officer with his made-up title, his international master title is not made up. He earned that through hard work, through years of chess experience and good
we
play.
We need to investigate that. I don't know about that, Danny.
Well, his opponent, Justice Williams, maybe not as well known, but I've known Justice since he was a little kid, and he recently was minted as an international master, and he'll give Danny all he can handle.
He absolutely will. And these matches will give us all that we can handle, including this one, Levy Rozman facing off against Qiyu Zhao, also known as Nemo, also known as Nemsko. And that is coming right up in just a couple of minutes. But before we make our final checks and go to our traditional pre-match break, please do not forget that over 500 people have already filled out their bracket. Why have you not? So go to go.chess.com/IMSCC bracket. That's http://go.chess.com/ I don't know if you need that HTTP. Do you need that? Or can you go straight to go.chess.com/IMSCC bracket? Whatever, you'll find it. Or type !fantasy for more info and your chance to enter and win. I've already filled up my bracket. In fact, I just did that before we went live. So what are you waiting for? Robert, we'll discuss the players and their stats on the other side of the break, but how excited are you to jump into the match?
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. That also felt like a personal attack. What are you waiting for? I felt like the you was me because I have not filled out my bracket. I'm going to do so now. So it's perfectly timed break so I can have a chance at winning. I believe the top prize is $500.
Okay. That's several cars, a couple of houses, especially in Manhattan. But, no, that's a couple nice dinners. So go do your bracket, Robert. We're going to go on a very short break. When we come back, the inaugural match of the I Am Not a GM SCC begins with Levy Rozman taking on Nemo Zhou. Don't go anywhere. The games begin in just a couple of minutes.
who am I going to pick for the bracket, Danya? I mean, you already filled yours out. Don't tell me every answer. I don't want to copy you or anything, but
Okay.
I'm looking here, and some of them, all right, I got my picks in, but that Kanti-Kavutsky matchup and Kostya bringing that chess dojo.
Close. I just played Kansi 2 days ago. He was in Charlotte for a tournament. We played a little odds match.
Okay.
He was on fire. I mean, the guy was seeing like tactics every game.
Well, I was going to take
like he was seeing everything. It's crazy.
I can't tell if this is a reverse psychology because I was going to take Kostya on this one, but now that you say that, I feel like I got to go with JC3.
Yeah, I mean, I like both of them. So
wait. Apparently, what do you mean?
What? Welcome back to the I Am Not a GM Speed Chess Championship. Apparently we were hot mic, but be that as it may, we have here our insights. You can see the total games, the average accuracy, the wins and the losses by flag. Robert, do these numbers surprise you? Obviously, Levy the heavy favorite. What does Nemo have to do? What mentality does she need to have to score an upset and defy the odds?
Well, it's interesting that she doesn't lose on time that often. I mean, at least the same percentage of the time that Levy does. But Levy and Nemo, look how many games they've played at that point when you've already played almost 5,000 games, just because your opponent has more than doubled your quote unquote experience. I think you're experienced enough. So they're pretty close in accuracy, and Nemo tends to flag her opponents more. That's going to be very difficult against such a strong bullet player like Levy.
Levy's incredibly fast. He's such an experienced bullet player. And he's got phenomenal opening preparation. He's got several courses, and he is not going to hesitate to put them to use. And an occasion as important as this, Robert. So his 1e4, his Black Caro, Nemo has to buckle in and take her time in the opening.
Yeah, and both of these players are getting back to that over-the-board play. Levy has been playing in norm tournaments. He's been documenting his journey. And Nemo, I saw her tweet that she will be playing for the Canadian women's team at the upcoming Olympiad. So that's really exciting stuff. As she also played in the World Cup in Sochi back in July of 2021. So both of these players getting back to that classical chess, which means that they must work on their openings. And as you mentioned, Levy, he's renowned for all of his content, but I believe it was early on where he put out his courses.
Indeed. And as we take a look at Levy's player card, he is the number 3 seed. His blitz is 2744, and his bullet is 2707. Robert, pretty high numbers. Levy has been as high as 2800 plus blitz, and that is very, very impressive.
Yeah, no, he is really such a strong player here on chess.com, and he's also not streaming this. And you know what they say, when a player goes off stream and they are solely focused, they're in it for real.
And Levy's not streaming, and I like it. These players taking these matches incredibly seriously. The next match will definitely be taken seriously as well, Hess against Trent. And that's honestly why we watch these little rivalries. Yes.
You just said Hess against Trent.
Oh my God. Hess against Trent. That's so fun. I mean, you would love to play Lawrence.
Did you just remove my GM title? Is that what just happened?
I did. I took it away, and No. You're asking the wrong question. What you should be angry about is the fact that I compared you, or I confused you for Greg Shahade.
Yeah,
that is the ultimate insult.
I mean, it just felt like okay, well, you're revoking my title, but we have a Jabal London setup here, bishop on f4, knight on c3. And Danya, you look at the ratings, Levy, 300 blitz points higher rated than Nemo, but neither player probably that accustomed to using this time control of 5 minutes with that 1 second increment. And that typically does favor the higher rated classical player, and that's Levy, but it can just be unfamiliar and thus difficult to adjust to.
That is without question a difficult time control. And it's very hard not to play too quickly because no, it's not bullet, and get a generous amount of time. It can also be difficult not to play too slowly. This is not classical chess, right? It's still blitz. So making those adjustments incredibly important. And like I said, for Nemo, getting good positions out of the opening is going to be absolutely paramount if she wants to stay in this match.
And what do you make of this decision? Play b5. She did it quite quickly. And so she throws her pawn forward on the queen side. And we can see that Levy, he went knight to c3, knight to b5, knight back to c3. So he's been moving the same piece a bunch of times. And yet his position very solid. There's no pawn tension yet.
Levy's opening choice very... Ouch, I just hit my teeth in my coffee cup. Levy's opening choice very near and dear to my heart. I think this is alternatively known as the Jababa London or the Barry system, which of course is anti-positional from the point of view that you want to be able to push your c-pawn, but it's become incredibly popular recently. I've been playing a lot in Blitz. Nemo going for the queenside pressure, but she's got to be careful about that pawn on c6. Levy already threatening a3. Black setup, Robert, looks a little bit awkward to me, and Levy could try to carry out the e3, e4 pawn break at some point as well.
Right, there are numerous pawn breaks, a4, e4, and this bishop on d7, it's not the best piece. So I'm not sure if I were Nemo, if I would have left the bishop defending c6. I feel like this bishop could have remained on c, and the queen, for example, could have jumped out to b6. But either way, Levy goes g4, Danya. So he's throwing his pawns forward. He has not castled his king, and the king is very safe in the center. There's not a single black piece that's going to attack it. So g4, maybe we'll see another pawn going forward to h5. And I'm starting to worry for Nemo.
I quite like this approach for Levy. Knight e4 by Nemo. That probably is going to be captured by Levy. Is he then going to take the bishop on d7? Maybe not. The one worrisome thing for white is the idea of black going bishop e8. And that will threaten f6, trapping the knight, but obviously not a problem that Levy can't solve. He can also play c4 here. Wow, we were really on the same page there.
I knew what you were about to say. We've been getting good at this whole telepathy thing. So c4 is available because the knight on c3. That's why we don't like our knights in front of our c-pawns, because we want to strike with that pawn. And Levy says, well, speaking of striking with pawns, I'm going to go on the opposite flank. And whenever there's a fianchetto structure, I love to say this, Danya, that h4, h5, that is always a viable option because the rook on h1 can be used as an attacker.
But Nemo playing h6, she's not going to let Levy run circles over her on the king side. This is a classic idea, meeting h5 with g5 and g5 with h5. The issue for black is that white's advantage carries over to all sides of the board. The e4 pawn is now a weakness that I think Levy is trying to attack with the move queen c2. Black's position really is on the verge of collapsing here.
And you can't play f5. As soon as you push that pawn from h7, you lose sight of g6. So f5 defends e4, but then you lose the pawn on g6, and you cannot afford to do that. So I think if I'm Nemo here, I just have to accept that I'm going to lose this e4 pawn. I'm not happy about it. Yet perhaps I can get my knight into d5 and start trying to create some problems for white elsewhere.
Yeah, knight d5, queen e4, maybe throw in bishop e8 at some point to disallow the option of white just trading on d7 and simplifying after he wins the pawn. But no matter how you slice it, I mean, it's a very bad position for black here out of the opening.
Yeah, a pawn is a pawn, and e4 is falling in white's setup, right? That London-style setup. We have the party hat from b2 to d4 and f2 to d4. It's very solid and hard for black to break through. So the time is about even. That's, I guess, something that's good for Levy at this point. Plenty of time left to execute the remainder of this game. Once you win a pawn, the game is not concluded, but of course, he still also has attacking chances.
I like that orange sweatshirt. I wonder where I can get one of those.
I don't have
any orange clothes. I think I need to update my wardrobe.
Well, maybe for your birthday, I'll get you an orange sweater.
Aw. How about you get it for my mom's birthday in a week?
So do I get you a present for her birthday? How's that working out?
Yeah, that's the new cool thing, right?
Okay. Good to know. I'll think about it and not do that. So knight to d5.
Are we supposed to compensate something? Oh, crap. There's a game going on. Sorry.
And Levy wisely brings the bishop right. That pawn e4 is not going anywhere. I think many people would rush to take a pawn, to free material. Thank you. But if we just hop a step back here, queen takes e4, you just have to think, is giving black the bishop pair a good idea? Still great for white. So it doesn't actually matter when all is said and done because white retains the advantage. Yet I like keeping the bishop on the board.
It's ridiculously tilting that you can't play f7, f5, as you pointed out earlier, because the g6 pawn drops. Not something you think of when you play h6, but it's hurting black tremendously. And as we speak, look at the clock. Nemo down over a minute on the clock. She's losing e4, Robert. It ain't looking good for her in game one.
No, it's not. She needs to get some kind of c5, b4, some sort of pawn break, because once the queen takes on e4, I'm expecting h5 and bishop d3, things like that, going for checkmate. You can push g5 as well. You're spoiled for choice, essentially, from the white side of things. So she needs to drum up some play on the queen side, and b4 is going to be met by c4, so it's not that appealing either.
Yeah, maybe. Gosh, I don't even know what to say. I can't see a single move. Knight f6, of course, white goes g5, and that merely throws oil onto the fire by opening up the h file. Gosh, and Nemo doesn't see a move either. She's now down 2 minutes on the clock. Finally plays queen c8. But does she want queen takes e4, knight f6?
I think so. At the very least, it causes white to stay close to this g4 pawn. And if the queen takes e4, knight f6, the queen can just go to f4 or f3 and keep that pawn defended. Yeah,
queen f3. You can't take on g4. White has enough defenders. g5 is still on the table. Even with like queen g2 isn't out of the question, because after knight takes g4, bishop takes g4, the c6 pawn will drop in the end of these variations. So problems for black everywhere. And just a simple move by Levy, queen f3. Maybe bishop e6, but I suppose you could snag the pawn on c6. That threatens a fork, but I don't think Levy will bother with these complications. Nemo doing what she needs to do, striking at the center with c5. But as you pointed out, white's central structure is so incredibly solid. It would survive a tornado. Like, you can't take that down.
And g5, now the knight goes to h4. That's the one good news for black about the queen being on f3 in the bishop's line of sight. And the g file is open. It takes a little bit of time to go rook g1, move the bishop, and then create more problems for black. So that is the one thing that Nemo is going for. Of course, the eval bar completely winning for white at this point. It's a great position. And as you were pointing out, I mean, just this setup here, you're not breaking down these pawns, and that's what black needs to do to have a legitimate compensation.
I think Nemo's going to try. She might play b4, but that doesn't even threaten anything if Levy takes recapture with the e pawn, which I think he will.
Okay.
Because, why open the c file? Although, I guess he wanted to take with the c pawn, and maybe that was better.
I did, yes, because of your point with b4. So b4 not available right now because there's a problem down on a8 and the queen gets distracted. But she was bishop e6. I think bishop f5, Danya, just to keep g6 defended, was a little bit more precise. Oh, and after
that
bishop
makes sense.
Bishop f5, there was rook a6, and maybe even like rook lifts over this way.
And all of a sudden, Black amasses quite some beef on the king side. Now Levy has b3, and that would threaten queen takes h5 and take the sting out of bishop f5.
You got to go bishop f5, though. You just have to say, I know I'm down a pawn, but I'll trade queens and hope that I have enough compensation from there on out.
Ooh, bishop g6. No, come on, Nemo. Bishop g6.
Yeah.
You got to do it, right? And a lot of people, they tell themselves when they're down in material that I can't trade queens, at all costs. But that's not quite true, right? An endgame of pawn down, especially if there are a lot of pieces on the board, that doesn't mean you don't have any chances, right? It's not everything. Whoa, rook g6. That also works. Bishop e5.
Oh gosh, yeah. Queen takes here. Bishop e5.
Levy can also take on f8.
He can. That looks. Is there bishop g4 after?
Ooh, bishop e5, king g8. Oh, bishop h7 mate, but okay.
Yeah. Wow, that's actually a really sick mate. But queen h5. Rook
f6. White's queen is almost trapped. Levy, I think, has to take on f6 and on b5, but then
rook b8.
Black has a check on e6.
Yeah, and rook b8 ideas going after b2.
I think Levy was a little overly fancy by taking on g6 to the rook, causing himself unnecessary problems. Of course, it's still completely winning.
Oh, okay. So queen d5 perhaps is better. That way you just don't allow queen e6 or rook to b8. And rook b8 is really nasty because this pawn is an important one.
Incredibly nasty. White could get checkmated there. You can't castle queenside.
Mm-hmm.
And good stuff by Levy. Good presence of mind to play queen d5.
And if queen e8 check, the king can run away. Bishop h3, king g1, and there's no then queen to g4 because the queen's on e8. So rook a. So that's a good defensive move by Nemo.
But Levy creating himself a luft on f2, but king f2, there's queen e3.
Yeah, don't go king f2.
Oh, but king f1, there's bishop h3.
Yeah, could that queen e3 have a check?
Bishop e2. No, but then g6 hangs. Oh my God, this is all of a sudden queen complicated.
And she trades, and that was the wrong move. Was there f5?
Bishop h5. No, bishop h5 trapped the knight.
Oh, that is wild. The knight was trapped, even though it's been hanging out on g6 for a while.
That would have gotten Black right back into the game. Now Levy's up a gazillion pawns as he anchors his bishop in with a4. Now he's going to win.
Yes. And
95.
Okay, they're both in time trouble, so random moves more or less will happen here.
Right.
How many extra pawns?
Great job here.
Yeah, but how many extra pawns? I can't even count. 4?
4. Oh, and now it's an extra rook.
Yeah.
And Levy wins game 1.
Oof. And that game, it got really close there, as you point out. Bishop h5, that knight suddenly was trapped. I'm going to bring that game up very quickly.
Yeah, that was a cool resource. All of a sudden, too.
Yeah, unexpected, because right here, after the queens were traded, bishop h5, and the knight has nowhere to go.
Oh, but you can move your king, though.
Oh.
No, but... Oh, no, I don't get it.
Yeah, no. Take. Oh, but you're saying that after rook g1.
F5, rook a6, but h5.
Right, there's h5 here.
We were thinking of exactly the same line, right?
But maybe the knight's just not going anywhere. Like, you can just move your... Oh, but there's knight h8 check at some point.
Oh, my God. King g8, rook g7, and then there's 97 check.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what it is.
Don't ask me. Too much to ask of me at this point.
We might check in the break, maybe. Okay,
yeah.
Game 2.
All right, so we see... Is this a Scandinavian? And this is...
I believe it is.
Wow. Ludwig Agren generally has better things to do, but this one's for him.
So is John Bartholomew, still mourning the loss of the Timberwolves.
Oh, JB, sorry, buddy, but yeah, this opening.
Hey,
if we this is John.
Much can play the Scandi.
Oh, it's a queen a5 line
on move 3, but that's okay. Man. All right, guys, just gonna go queen f5. Whoa, queen f5.
Yeah, what is this? I don't know this variation.
What is a6? I mean, generally in the Scandi, you play c6, creating that little vacation house for the queen on c7. This actually looks pretty passable for Black.
Yeah, this bishop is a monster. Although here's a typical mistake. Players say, I'm going to double isolate your... And he does it. But I would not have done that, I don't think. I mean, I guess if there's a direct plan with knight d4 next.
It's risky.
It's very, very...
Whoa, Nemo. Wake up.
Ooh.
You
Queen
can't
here.
just allow knight d4, and knight takes f3 with a fork. Rook g1 merely makes this even better because knight takes f3 comes with tempo.
Yeah. And that covered the g5 square as well if rook g5 was the plan.
And you just can't blunder these things against Levy.
No, not at all. Just take a pawn. And then bishop
Also
c5 is tempting. Yeah, but bishop c5, then maybe queen g5 runs. Oh, but then you probably
Maybe
wouldn't-
bishop c5 next.
Yeah. This is not fun at the moment. I think you have to play rook g3 just to force that knight out of f3.
But knight takes d2.
Yeah, I'm going to be down a pawn. I admit it. I have no choice.
You might be down even more than a pawn because knight d2, there's bishop d6 to follow, and then there's all sorts of pins on f4. Maybe white can survive there with rook f3. So
yeah, so rook takes d2.
I'm not seeing an immediate knockout here. I don't know why the eval bar is so self-assured here.
And one extra pawn, not the end of the world usually, especially in blitz games. So yeah, bishop d6, trying to go bishop 4, rook f3 can be played. That way you attack the queen and stop this bishop from getting here.
I mean, you have to do it. Otherwise, you can resign.
Right?
Maybe queen f3 is also a move, but then just takes and takes h2.
Yeah, you don't want to trade queens. So rook f3. What's
an instructive line would be rook g5, bishop f4.
Oh, that's nasty. Take a queen, take a queen, this rook, that rook, both under attack. Black wins material.
Indeed.
So
what
is she thinking about?
Thinking about?
Stop copying me.
F3 finally.
And one of the annoying things from white's perspective, besides being down a pawn, is you can't get a rook to the open file. Like you would like to, nope, that's not how the arrows are drawn. You'd like to get a rook to g1 to go after this pawn g7, but your rooks are misplaced.
Extremely misplaced. The rook on f3 has no entry points. And the fact that it's opposite colored bishops is actually hurting white.
Right.
Right. Common misconception. Oh, that means, there are more drawish tendencies, but there are plenty of other pieces on the board. Nemo trying to set up bishop takes e6 tactics in the event of queen h2, but even that doesn't work, I think.
But it might be enough to scare Levy. So he takes an e3. Now we have opposite colored bishops, only one extra pawn for black. Obviously, black is better, but I would never look at this position and say -3, right? I think that's just the super strong stockfish with NNUE saying I can see all the way down the line. It's over. But this doesn't feel like it's overwhelmingly advantageous for black.
No, it's a game. It's a game. Rook g2, threatening rook takes f6, forcing the king to the side, perhaps Nemo advancing her pawn to e4. But she's giving away the dark squares.
Yeah, plop that bishop on e5 so quickly.
And then play c5. Levy following suit.
And you need to be able to attack this bishop with your knight on c3, but that's the longest journey in the world.
Right. And you could throw an h6 to stop rook g5 related moves. Rook g5 is no longer dangerous because h2 hangs.
Okay, but now after c5, rook g5 is an idea because c5 is under attack. Rook g5.
I guess there's knight d7.
Yeah, that's actually a really good defensive move.
And then maybe c3, d4. Ooh, I don't like that move at all. Yeah, the dark squares.
Yeah, this is unpleasant. I mean, just this bishop on e5 lords over the position.
Might that have been a mouse slip? I mean, c3 to me looks very natural.
Knight f4. So rook d8 quickly played by Levy.
Rook g5, maybe. Ugh.
And where is this piece going?
It was going to g5, but Levy nips that in the bud.
This bishop on e5 is just way too strong here.
Lording over the entire position.
Yeah, that bishop on b3, not a good piece.
Right. No, this is essentially hopeless in the long run. I mean, white can hold the position together for a couple of moves, but there are too many weaknesses, too many entry points, too many holes.
Okay, to play devil's advocate for a second, how does black continue from here? Like, how is black going? Well, I guess you would take
rook g7, like a double rooks.
But this is with the arrows I'm showing is what Nemo wants. Like, oh, take the second pawn, but then you allow e5 and rook takes f7, and suddenly white has some play there.
And so Levy, I think, making a very astute move, rook b7 to prepare bishop f4, and also to prepare rook bd7 if necessary, doubling the rooks on the d file.
Yeah, great move by Levy. Just defending this pawn across the 7th rank and now creating a tactical threat. Bishop c2 would defend d3, but would leave b2 under attack after b takes c4. So
correct.
The bishop on b3 is just a terrible piece.
Ooh, is there now bishop e6, bishop takes f4 check, unfortunately.
Oh, you're trying to get tactical with knight g6?
I'm trying to get cheeky.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work. And what you'll find is that if your position, is riddled with weaknesses, none of the tactics go your way. There's always going to be some intermezzo, and Levy going for the kill here with c4, going after the b2 pawn.
And then this pawn as well. So if you take, then this bishop takes, and at the very least, you hold on to some hope of defending your pawn and attacking the enemy pawn.
Right. Rook C, bd7, now dc.
Yes, because there's no checkmate. The bishop has a cover.
All of the entry points are covered currently by the white rooks.
Maybe g5.
Mm-hmm. Good call.
Just get that bishop there. I mean, knight h5 is also perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, once again, the dark squares are going to be white's undoing.
And there it goes. Give me that f4 square. Yeah, this is
G. Oh no,
Go.
g5. Oh, you could actually play g5. Rook f7, bishop f4 check. Once again.
Exactly. Tactics favoring black here. You're cutting off the circulation of the rooks that would be on f2 and f7 with the bishop, but king g8, a very solid, quiet
Levy,
move by Levy.
taking the Russian schoolboy approach.
Mm-hmm. And there it is.
Oh, and g4 was a threat, actually.
Oh, that would have trapped the rook. Yeah, that knight was the only piece not in the game back on f6. Now it's on f4, and you can think about playing knight d3. I would not play that move, though.
I would play f6 or king g7. Yeah, very patient by Levy.
There's no way for Nemo to team up on this pawn because black will play f6. And normally you don't play f6 because the e6 pawn could become a target, but there's nothing you can attack that with.
Now rook d2 is possible.
Yikes.
Or f6. Yeah, I mean, anything is good.
Yeah, there's no hope for white. There's no activity, no threats, and black's pieces are perfectly placed.
And black could even take with the f pawn to create connected passers, but Levy sort of playing more conventionally here. I still like rook d2.
I would think about bishop c3 and knight e2 check, but g4.
Rook
okay.
g3, there's knight d3.
But I just feel like, okay, I don't know about rook f2. I thought you'd have to go after this pawn somehow. I just feel
Now
like it's,
g3.
yeah, just then rook g1.
But okay.
I just feel like it could create some looseness in black's position, but if knight d3 is the follow-up, you can successfully put the pawn on g3. It's still going to be defended by both the rook and the bishop.
Yeah, you could take with a pawn. I mean, everything is winning, but Levy continuing with rook takes d3. He's going to push that g pawn up the board.
Yeah, and he's also doing well on the clock. 31 seconds for Levy. Last game, it got a little bit dicey towards the end. Here, he's maintaining that half minute on the clock.
I think Nemo has defended very resiliently in both games. The problem is that, to begin with, her position was just too indefensible,
Right.
There was only so much that she could do. Oh, knight d1, rook e... I was going to go knight d1, knight f2, but it doesn't work.
Bishop takes c3, rook d3, pawn d3, king takes c3. She's still being resilient here.
Incredibly resilient, and Levy down to 13 seconds.
Uh-oh.
We've seen this before.
Okay.
And the A pawn, don't fall asleep on it.
I haven't. Yeah, I would think about pushing it. She takes first. If cd, king d2, bishop f4 looks like a problem.
Although king d1...
Actually, is there even a good discovered check after this? Like, rook, I guess rook
I think
f3.
rook f3 and g2.
That's a
rook
good call.
f3 and g2.
Because you can't take on... Oh, you can. It's check to take on g2, but that's a good idea.
Uh-oh. EF, there's knight d5.
Oh. And
Nemo pushing.
And here comes g2, rook f1.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Should be 3, another good move.
Yeah, because you can't stop it anyway.
And now June. Yeah, it's winning. G1 queen.
Yeah, equals mate.
Wow.
Levy Rozman up 2-0, though, he's had the advantage throughout. Right? We have to state that clearly. He's been with the upper hand. However, Nemo is putting up stubborn defense, and the later in the clock that these games go, the more chances she'll have in a time scramble.
Yeah, so far, obviously the score isn't great, but the time management bodes pretty well, honestly, for the Bullet. And I think she needs to stay alive in the 5-minute portion. I think she has every chance to do pretty decently in the 3 and 1 minute portions, but she can't go down 6 at the end of these 90 minutes.
Right. And as we see here, we have a move D5 played. So Levy, instead of going for the Jabava London, where the knight was in front of a pawn that was on C2, here he plays C4, and then the knight follows the pawn.
Okay, so just sort of a quiet Nimzo Indian approach here. Knight G92 is frequently played to in order not to block the F pawn, and there's a typical plan with F3, E4 sometimes in these positions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as you're saying, F3 to play for E4, of course, with the knight coming to E2 first. And we'll see if that's what Levy goes for. He says Queen C2, just eyeing H7, covering E4 with another piece, and he's leaving his options available. It's a very flexible approach. He hasn't decided where he's moving his knight, but after H3, Danya, I think we understand his knight's going to F3.
Yeah, preventing bishop G4. No, I was thinking the same thing.
So is he going to, maybe won't castle kingside, because I don't really see why you play H3 and knight E2 unless you're going the other way.
Maybe he was afraid of the Greek gift sacrifice, which, by the way, doesn't really work in these types of positions, because after king G3, queen G5, there's always this E4 move. But maybe that's what he was worried about. But I agree. I think he's actually trying to castle queenside, which is really dangerous. And Nemo, not mincing words, she says this is what awaits you if you castle queenside.
Yeah, although I wonder if I would have held off for at least a move here. But Levy, he strikes with G4. This has been a theme of the match thus far. Levy going forward on the king side, and here his king in the center is safe, but it doesn't have anywhere to go. If you run to the queen side with a quick B4 hitting you, you're not going to be happy. Of course, you're not going to the king side now that you've pushed this pawn to G4.
Yeah, you've burnt your bridges by pushing pawns on both sides of the board. And now Levy, he's kind of in too deep. He has to go for the king side attack. And he doesn't have forever, because Nemo's A5, B4 queenside attack would eventually get to the king in the center as well.
Mm-hmm. So where is white going from here? He's burning clock in addition to those bridges that you mentioned, and he's trying to figure out, can I throw G5 forward? The knight on F8 is important, covering that H7 pawn. So it goes F3. Maybe the king will sit on F2.
He's burning his Mikhail bridges.
Not his Miles Bridges.
Oh gosh, Miles Bridges on Charlotte. So don't you?
It wasn't an insult. You just.
I know, and I'm relax.
I am relaxed. I'm calm. I'm chilling. Look at Nemo, by the way. She's like leaning into the screen. I wonder if she's relaxed. Probably not. It's hard to be relaxed.
No, 2-0.
You know what's relaxed though? That gold plaque behind Levy.
Yeah, that does look really nice. That's the YouTube million subs, right?
Yeah, it's just hanging out there, reminding everybody that Levy has many, many, many YouTube subscribers.
Indeed. And
A5.
Yep. B4 is being set up. It's not a threat yet. Levy dropping his knight back to D1. Obviously, white's setup is really flimsy, but if Nemo can't take advantage of it, Levy could even play E4 and really tempt fate. Oh, yeah. And then takes in C5.
That's what Nemo's plan has been this game. It's like, so are you sure you want to go forward with that plan? And as we were talking about, E4 for the moment doesn't hang anything, but after C5, the center will collapse as that bishop gets open. So I'd play rook C8 and C5.
Maybe then, B4.
That's a very good point. So she plays B4.
Before her. So I think she's playing an excellent game so far. This is exactly what she has to do. She's gotten a good position out of the opening. And again, she's doing well on the clock.
And she takes to the bishop. She wants to strike at this E3 pawn. The bishop is pinned. So knight C3 would be one way to defend the pawn. But then the knight gets in the way and C5 can be played. Because if you go knight C3, Bingo. C5 takes D4. Oh, gosh.
Ooh.
Wow. He castles kingside.
I like that decision by Levy. I think that's a very smart decision, actually. The king has overstayed its welcome in the center. Rook takes c3 was a threat. And are you, is the king side equivalent to a Ritz-Carlton hotel? No. It's more like a one-star shack, but it's still a little bit safer than it was on e1.
Much safer. You have knights towards your king, defending some key squares. And you point out that e4 is an idea, especially with this knight over here on f2. It's covering that square in extra time. So the position is getting harder to play from black's perspective because all of like the best elements are already here. So the question is, now what?
Yeah, I mean, queen e7, there's e4.
Maybe knight g6. She plays queen e7.
And Levy probably will respond with e4.
Looks reasonable. There are c5 ideas at some point, and then it gets extremely messy.
Yeah. Are there any alternatives to e4? I mean, bishop d2 and queen e3 is it's not a winning threat, but it's a pretty serious threat. A pawn is a pawn.
Yeah, you didn't want to play bishop c1, just to keep that pawn defended. I guess there was knight c3 available to keep the bishop trade off the table, but instead e4 has been played and Nemo takes. And after pawn takes e4 here, what are we going to see done? We have options, right? We could trade bishops. We could bring this knight to g or e6.
Yeah, we could also play c5. I mean, bishop takes d2, queen takes d2, c5, trying to carve out weak squares in the center, weak dark squares that could then be occupied by the f8 knight, particularly the e5 square.
She plays c5 first.
c5.
Oh, those dark squares that you were just talking about.
Juicy. Knight g6, knight e5. It's not the end of the world for white, but it's getting really unpleasant.
Yeah, because the knight's successive blockade, she brings her knight f to d7. That may look strange because there's a knight in f8. Why wouldn't you bring that one out? But she probably was looking at pins and things like that. And she says, this knight can come to e5. This knight can come to g6, like right now.
Bishop f4, knight e5, Nemo's choice. Still good. And then knight f g6 could follow on the next move.
This is looking really good for Nemo. And the clock situation.
Cash in here.
I was going to say the clock situation, they both have about the same amount of time, although it's harder for white to play this position.
Yeah, white's position is so flimsy. Anything could collapse at any moment. Levy sliding his bishop up to b5, attacking the rook. And maybe he'll try to go knight e2 to g3 to f5.
Yeah, that could be annoying. Although black does have the move g6, though. You wouldn't have that move if your knight's already on the square. So where is she? Rook to b8 has a tactical threat with bishop takes d5. But she sits on d8.
Levy, moves his king right up onto that diagonal. I don't like that move at all.
Me neither. And the bishop is now under attack.
Knight h4 check is also in the mix.
Well, it's incredibly unpleasant because the next knight can jump into f3.
Wait, is rook takes d5 a threat? After bishop g3, couldn't black play rook takes d5?
Oh, goodness. Probably. Can you
now knight takes g4?
Wait, you can almost do it now as well, but the king has the g1 square to run back to.
And maybe Levy wants to provoke Nemo into spending a lot of time calculating these sacrifices.
Yes, I mean,
and he's succeeding.
He is. And e4 is loose though, right? The queen is no longer protected. So knight takes g4 is another idea, just to take on e4, take on d5. 3 pawns in an attack for the piece.
e4 is Lucy.
I'm taking that pawn. I think it's worth it.
You're in too deep, but 35 seconds for Nemo. She's got to make a decision. All of a sudden, she's down a minute.
And she brings her knight to h4 with check.
King g3.
Then this knight is probably going here. Oh.
That was a mistake.
Yeah. There's a mistake here. And what is the knockout? There's a king on
g6 looks very natural to me. That wasn't the move according to the engine.
Oh, maybe just take it, play g5.
And if the bishop moves, queen e5.
Queen e5 check. Yeah.
Oh, good call.
You clear the diagonal. But this also
mate on h2.
Yeah. No, the king on g3 is not a happy piece.
Maybe d6.
E4 was also hanging, so takes on b4. Maybe take with the c pawn. There's queen c7 after cb.
The clock really worries me.
Yeah. And suddenly
d6.
that hangs e4, but it gets the queens off the board, and you have a passed pawn. So who cares about a single pawn in the center of the
A
board?
protected pass pawn, finally finding a job for that bishop on b5.
There it goes.
Finds it.
Do not trade queens. I would not play queen takes e4.
No,
but
queen e4 is going to lose.
where else can you go with that queen?
I don't see anything. 9
Queen
seconds for Nemo.
No. Trade queens in d7. This is done.
Yeah.
Okay, well, also rook takes f4 hits 2 pieces. Over.
Rook f4, king takes h4, and that is a heartbreaker.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
Nemo,
She played a nice game.
One more threat, g5 check. Okay.
Okay, well, 3-0 for Levy. It hasn't been smooth sailing, but he has played very well. Like that game, he brought his king up to g3. It got dicey, but when it was said and done, he was able to get that full point as well. We do see the game canceled. We're about halfway through the 5+1 segment. So Danya, I mean, what to make of what we've just seen?
Well, the third game was a little bit more encouraging for Nemo. She's got to take the positives out of that game. When she gets a good position out of the opening, she was better the entire game. It was a 50-50 position, could have gone either way. She needs to perform in a somewhat sharper manner tactically. She's got to manage her time a little bit better toward the end of that game, but that's all easy to say. Levy is an incredibly experienced veteran of Blitz and Bullet, and he is a very tough customer. So Nemo, she's going to have to step up her game and cut into this lead once we come back. But first, we're going to give the players a short breather. Don't go anywhere. This is the inaugural match of this year's I Am Not a GM SCC. We will see you on the other side of this break in a couple of minutes.
Did you know you can watch top chess events right on your phone? You don't even need to download an app. Just open any mobile browser and head to chess.com/events. You can see what's happening right now, check out top games, see results, and so much more. Try it for yourself at chess.com/events.
You can't film me in the bathroom, man. Yes.
Welcome back to the I Am Not a GM Speed Chess Championship, our inaugural match between Levy Rozman and Nemo. We take a look at the Smarter Chess stats by chessgoals.com. Grandmaster Robert Hess alongside me. Robert, well, the Smarter Chess is predicting a 6-3 win for Levy, and that seems to be borne out by the first 3 games.
Yeah, although I do think that too many games are predicted. So perhaps this is adjusted from the typical Speeches Championship format where there's 90 minutes of 5+1 followed by 60 minutes of 3+1 followed by 30 of 1+1. So let's remind everybody of the format differences, as Levy is the big favorite and he's up 3-0. That here in the I'm Not GM SEC, it's 75 minutes, so 15 fewer minutes in the longest time control, and then there are also 15 fewer minutes in the 3+1 and 5 fewer minutes in the bullet. So that means that not as many games as in the SEC.
That is a good point, but Nemo, she has some coming back to do. She cannot afford to lose 2 or 3 more games to finish off the 5-minute portion. I mean, a 6 or 7 point lead is going to be incredibly difficult to surmount against someone as strong as Levy. So let's see if she is up to the task. We've got 40 minutes left in the 5-minute portion. Okay, we're ready for the next game.
For sure. And I think for Nemo, it's really important that she just scores a victory somewhere because she's been playing well. It's 3-0, but it hasn't been 3 lopsided games. She has been right in the thick of things throughout them. That last game, as you said, from start to finish, she played very well until she was down under 30 seconds on the clock, and then things got out of control.
And another Scandi by Levy, but he plays the 2 knight f6 variation, which is considered incredibly solid. It's very hard to bring down, but White's got several ways to get a slight advantage. And Nemo, I don't know about this. Knight c3 already is a little bit odd.
Yeah, and also spending 25 seconds by the first 4 moves of the game is not a way necessarily to get an advantage, at least not practically speaking, in a blitz game. However, we look at her setup with these pawns here and a third pawn joining the party. It doesn't look great for White.
I don't like this at all. Look at the pawn structure, and now Levy has a lot of pressure on the d4 pawn, and that pressure could be exacerbated with bishop g4, attempting to eliminate the knight. No, this is... the wheels are coming off just a little bit here for Nemo.
And importantly, that c takes d4 was a threat. So dc5, even though it looks really bad, it was the best move in the position, just to show everybody that normally this pawn on d4 can't be captured because there's some sort of discovery. But with the pawn on g6 and no access to h7, let's say White made some move like a3. When we get a situation like this, after all is said and done, all the trades happen on d4 here, there's no bishop takes h7 check, which means that there's no useful move, which means you just lost the pawn.
Great point. Levy responding with queen a5, targeting these Irish pawns.
And queen d2.
And now bishop g4 is actually a nasty little intermezzo because you can't go knight d4 due to the pin, the queen standoff.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point because the knight going d4 would be ideal for White. So after bishop g4, maybe the queen would have come out to f4 or something like that to defend the knight. But either way, Levy says, why not just grab the pawn back? Look at these pawns that White has.
I'm looking at them. What do you want me to see?
I just want you to appreciate those pawns and how Black, without really doing much of anything, has obtained a really large advantage.
All right, rook d8, bishop f5. White's position is just miserable. You can't play c4 because the bishop hangs. You can't move your queen because c3 hangs. You can't play knight d4 because the pawn hangs. It's just bad.
And Levy plays bishop f5, and even a trade of bishops won't really help White's cause. You have double isolated c pawns that are going to be easy targets. A rook can come to c8. And if you ever try anything down the b file, Black plays the simple move b6. So I don't know how you keep these pawns.
Yeah, and Robert, open positions out of the opening. When Nemo gets a worse position with White in 5 moves, That's just not a recipe for success against someone like Levy. And, you know, she's defended incredibly well all throughout the first 3 games, but you just can't keep putting yourself in these positions.
No. And
Literally and figuratively.
exactly. Well, right now, at least for Nemo, she's doing decently on the clock, but over the board, it's just too easy for Levy to play. And I can't even suggest a move right now for White. I don't have a plan in mind.
Okay. Would you trade queens here?
Yes,
I probably would.
Because look at this pawn on C3. I can just move my knight to like A5.
Yeah, knight A5, knight C4 looks... Although knight A5, rook takes C7, so maybe
admit,
not immediately.
I admit that I just assumed the position was so winning that I could do whatever, but the E7 pawn is hanging, so good call.
So maybe, but playing a move like E6 can sometimes be dangerous. It does close off the escape hatch for the bishop.
Mm-hmm.
But in this particular instance, because you have the possibility of trading on D3, maybe it's worth playing E6 or even E5. Levy instead going for the doubling.
Yes. And it allows him to go to knight A5 if he wants, because the E7 pawn is defended. How about this for a tricky move? King H2. King H2.
Bishop takes F5. Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of... I didn't even notice that there was a rook on C8 standing behind the rook on D7.
Right. It's like, oh, if you play knight A5, then I get to take and skewer your rooks. But rook to D to E1 was played, getting out of the pin. And bishop D3, C takes D3. That would seem to fix most of White's problems, but not all of them, because those pawns are still targets.
But now again, there's bishop takes F5, and why allow your pawn structure to get damaged?
And now rook D3, perhaps? And there it is.
Yes. She plays it. Now we definitely don't want to trade.
By the way, rook D8 might be met by knight to D4. Knight D4 with rook G3 check and the F5 pawn hanging. So she plays
good stuff by Nemo here. She's making progress.
Yeah,
and
she's
Levy's advantage has been almost entirely wiped out. Sorry.
Oh, she took the rook on D3 instead of fixing her pawns.
That is surprising.
Don't love that last decision just a half step ago. She could have taken C takes D3 and then had no pawn weaknesses. Instead, playing rook takes, and after bishop G7, she'll have to figure out what to do with these weak pawns for the long haul.
Even though the engine doesn't seem to care, I feel like not taking on D3 with a pawn was a very serious mistake, which makes the practical defensive task a lot more difficult.
Yeah, her extra minute on the clock seems to be helping her cause. Okay, king.
Right, king E2, both sides bringing up their king.
And Levy can continue with king to E8. That frees up his knight. So plays bishop F6. So what is White going to do about these pawns?
I'm speechless. I have no good answer for you, Robert.
Maybe knight D4?
Nemo plays bishop C1. She's got to be very careful.
But now she has to take with the king on D3.
Okay, but that brings up the king a little bit further.
It does, but it leaves you with these permanent weaknesses on the queen side.
And what I wouldn't do if I were Levy, what is Nemo thinking about? Bishop H6 check?
I don't know why you...
Yeah,
no, it's not
why
important.
Would you? What is the benefit of that?
Maybe she didn't realize that rook takes E3 was about to happen, that her bishop lost side of the C3 pawn. Okay.
This is a very committal decision by Levy. I don't know about bishop A3 check.
Oh, I don't like that move.
Wow, the eval bar disagreeing with a lot of moves. Maybe bishop E7 was worth considering instead of king E8.
Yeah, but E4, knight G1?
Too passive. Knight E5.
Oh.
Knight E5, knight C4. Oh.
And then C3 is very loose over here, and it's bishop B4, this pawn A5.
And good move by Nemo. Bishop D4 is on tap.
So check, king goes to E2. If you take C3, I get A7. And if you go B6, I bishop D4. This knight is so bad on G1.
Yeah, but look at me, okay.
What if you just play B6, bishop B4 trade, and then just walk your king up?
That is actually a super high level idea. I think a lot of people would obviously rule that out because you're fixing White's structure, but that knight on C4, look at how it dominates over White's king. I think that's a phenomenal idea.
Yeah, I just
call an idea by Robert Hess phenomenal?
You did, yes, I appreciate it. So bishop D4, you can start with king E7. There's no need to rush the decision to take, but the point is that with the standoff, I can take on D4 eventually, and then just walk my king up into the d5 square. And look at these pawns as well.
Well, Levy dropping a little bit on the clock. This is a very easy position to play, though. So it's really not an issue.
Yeah, as soon as you come up with what plan you're going for, then the next moves are natural. You can play b5, you can play king e6, you can take here, and that's a great knight on g1.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of the knight on g1?
I think it's going to e2. It will improve.
I think Levy should play king e6, knight e2, and then maybe bishop f6 to g5, stopping the further progress of the knight.
That makes perfect sense to me. And Levy down to 27 seconds now.
Yeah. And
okay,
but go knight e2. That pawn on b5 is a bit of a weakness now.
Yeah. In fact, white can consider taking just to go knight d4 and go after this pawn at some point.
Precisely.
Oh, Levy down
to 17 seconds.
He's got to go. Check and take.
Bishop c5.
Yes, it's a free pawn.
And
Huge
white is playing
blunder.
for a win.
This is a very simple tactic.
Nemo's got to see this. Oh, she missed it, but she's still better.
Yeah, she's
got the outside passer.
So you can just take on f6, take on c3, or take it like this. But either way, outside pass pawn only 12 seconds for Levy.
She has to cash in here. This is a big opportunity.
And that bishop needs to go back somewhere. Bishop g5, Levy trying to avoid trading pieces, but that pawn is a sprinter.
And it is sprinting up the board with a4.
And there might have been knight d4 a turn ago.
Still might be, but there's f4.
And then h4.
Bishop d8. Almost. I mean, black is already hanging by a thread.
Yeah, this is a close call with 4.8 seconds left for black. So Nemo needs to pressure him on the clock.
It's not so easy to make progress, though, because black's king is obviously holding the pawn at bay.
Oof. And
this is a 3-result game.
For sure. E3 is a 3. After G takes f4, even bishop h4 is an idea.
Indeed.
To go after this pawn.
Very much so.
Nemo thinking here down to a minute and just under 10 seconds. So she's plenty of time.
a5, there's knight takes a5, another issue. Bishop takes f4, Levy recapturing here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't feel like white can play this for a win anymore.
Knight f5, bishop back, and that bishop's coming to a7, perhaps? But bishop a7 is 97. Check. Yeah, you have to watch out for this.
Levy almost oh. A5, can Nemo push? But then f5 and black starts pushing.
Yeah, both sides are pushing. Bishop d4, she wants to push the a pawn. Bishop e6.
f5, Levy's going to start pushing his f pawn.
But this pawn's got to go.
And f4, and it finally moves forward.
But after knight c4, a6, there's also ideas of bishop d6 in addition to a7 to win the piece.
That's exactly right. King d5.
Is bishop
Levy
d6
approaching with his king?
No, the pawn's not far enough. King b4. Watch out for knight d3 check.
Nemo, I think she has to trade and go a6.
Yeah, although look at this pawn. It does match the corner. So in case that's the pawn you're left with.
What if a6? Does Levy have to go back to b8? He stops it with his king.
a7, there's king b7.
Bishop a7
a7
b5.
a7
king b5.
Yes.
Oh my god, she sees it.
And she found it.
e3.
King takes
e5. Yeah, you can just take.
Just wins because the bishop comes back to b4.
Do not play f takes e3, although that probably still wins.
Yeah, she played the right move order.
Wow.
And she covers the square, wins the pawns. And you could even pre-move bishop e1 there.
A phenomenal game by Nemo.
Yes. Well, I mean, after she had the double pawns.
End game by Nemo.
There it is. But when all is said and done, in the end, she wins the game. So it's an important victory for her. 3-1 now in Levy's favor. And we're getting a King's Gambit.
And is Nemo playing a Falkbeer?
The Falkbeer counter gambit? Yes, indeed.
Not to be confused with the Falk wine counter gambit.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. You had to do it, didn't you? Queen.
I did. That's not a good line. Knight c3.
Yeah, you get this with tempo, and the queen is running around a little bit.
I don't know where Nemo looked this line up, but this is just not the right way to... Ooh. Knight f3.
Yeah,
why not knight c3?
E4, knight c3, that seems clearer. Can you just take?
Bazen knight c3 might get development.
What else are you going to do? Because your center is under attack. I think you have to take this pawn. No?
Yeah, e4 knight c3 is very... Maybe e4 knight c3, queen f5? That looks so like artificial.
And queen e2.
Knight f6.
D3.
Knight c6 by Nemo. Okay, now definitely knight c3.
Somehow this is okay for black, but this has been a weird start to this game.
Yeah, I just don't like this for Nemo, though. She turned a King's Gambit into a Scandi.
Yeah. And then a Scandi without F and E pawns somehow.
Right. Jesus.
Queen e6.
Queen e6.
She's thinking. And this is what happens when you are not suspecting an opening. You end up getting some sort of random position, and then your every single move is a difficult task.
And I think a lot of people in the chat there's this idea that the King's Gambit has been refuted. It has most certainly not been refuted. I mean, I think Nepo has shown that by playing the King's Gambit, even in classical chess. There is no refutation. There's no single line that wins for black. Black just has many, many ways of getting a slightly better position, right? I love this for Levy. Rook e1 is coming.
Yeah, this is a nasty threat.
D4, D5 also compounding black's problems.
So what does black do right here? Bishop e7
D4.
seems solid enough. D4 going for d5. Uh-oh.
But okay.
A6 at some point necessary? Probably.
Maybe even now, and then swing the queen at h6.
Ugh. I mean, you might have to, but like there's these dual threats of d5 and rook to e1, and I'm afraid of both of them. And bishop e7 was taking the poison out of one, but with d5 coming and this pin here, I think you do have to play move like a6 and bishop queen h6, as you said.
And Nemo rises to the task, but the problem, this is starting to look like one of those 18th century games, like Anderson against Kizuritsky, where white just has 8,000 developing moves and black, hasn't developed any of her pieces.
Right. And rook e1 staring down the length of the board towards that black king. The queen should probably go to h6, but even just bishop takes knight and take back on f4 if the queen takes on c6, white is fully developed, restores material equality, and black's king remains in the center.
Right. The queen is just getting tossed around. It's such a liability in these kinds of positions when there aren't too many other pieces developed.
She needs to move though. Queen d6. Okay. She wants to defend.
And knight e4 does block the e files. Maybe she's trying to provoke that and then go queen h6, for example. Levy takes on c6, kind of like you prescribed.
Mm-hmm. If queen takes, bishop takes f4. If pawn takes, you keep f4 defended, but now you have more weaknesses in the position.
I like pawn takes, though.
Because I thought you were going to give me some.
No, it just
wise
keeps
follow-up.
the extra pawn. I mean, now queen h6, you got to suffer for something.
So you're suffering just for this pawn on f4 is what you're saying. All right, I can get behind that. I do think, though, that if black's king gets out of the center with the bishop pair and this king out on f2, yeah, there definitely are chances for Nemo here. But after queen h6,
d5, yeah.
d5, open that board. She plays queen d5.
Oh, bishop f4.
Yeah.
And you can't play knight f6. I mean, you can, but let's not even talk about that.
Mm-hmm. She plays bishop e6 instead.
Vacuum up the pawn on c7.
And then I guess knight f6, and she feels like she at least has a chance.
And she definitely does. I mean, if black can castle here, you're right back in the thick of things.
Would black consider castling queenside if you had a free move?
And you're asking all the difficult questions.
It is a difficult one, but
my rule, always consider castling queenside.
Okay. I'm considering it. Now I'm asking you, will you more than consider and actually do it, or is it just a consideration?
And I'm asking you.
Okay.
Well, first of all, you have to defend g7.
You could play f6, king f7.
I think that was a very ingenious idea by Levy, though, to provoke f6, stopping the knight from getting out to f6.
Yep.
And now take c7.
So I guess your point is that just their knight f6 might have been better than f6. It's a hard move to play because you're going to get another set of double isolated pawns. But it seems that instead of playing f6 and you have your knight stuck, that was a superior option.
Levy, though, he still could have taken on c7. I don't know why he's allergic to that pawn.
And can he still take on c7?
No, I was saying even after knight c3.
Yeah, right.
Instead of bishop f4, you could have taken on c7.
Oh, sorry. I thought, yeah, bishop takes c7 was available. I didn't realize he retreated with his bishop to f4 and king f7. Although if you're king f7, you have to watch out for this knight check on
knight
g5.
e4, knight eg5.
And then knight e5 check.
Not good. There's a big threat.
Do you
I feel
play?
like Nemo will be tempted to move her rook.
Oh gosh, but rook e8, something like that. Knight g5, pawn takes, knight e5 check with the fork. Maybe she does play h6.
Good tactical sharpness.
I'm just worried about that plan now that there are all these holes in the light squares.
Yeah.
Although knight h4, there's bishop g4 saving the day.
Or g6. That's exactly right. I knew you were going to make it sound like that. I just wanted to hear it.
Okay. Oh.
Blech.
Yeah. So white's still clearly better. Safe king down on g1. How can black get this knight out? She plays bishop d6, trying to trade, fix her pawn structure, then get the knight d7. I like that move.
Yeah. No, I mean, get the knight out and move the rook from e8 and pretend that nothing ever happened after you play king g8.
Okay, queen d2. Is it time for knight e7, or are there some tactics with like a queen f4 and a pinned f1?
Oh, and then I guess rook ad.
No, but then knight g5 check. No, it's knight g5.
You evil man.
I just wanted to show my plan. Knight g5, you take once, but you're now pinned and you lose this bishop on e6.
Bingo.
So rook f1 played by Levy. That feels a bit slow, but you can tell he's lining up some kind of bishop takes h6.
Yeah, knight e5, knight g5, everything's in the mix. Nemo down to 30 seconds. I just don't see her holding this with 30 seconds on her clock in a complicated middle game and worse middle game.
Is there bishop h6, rook h6, queen h6 here?
Ooh.
He goes for this and
Rook
look at the eval bar.
6.
So rook f8 maybe just to defend against that. You can also play f5.
Yeah, knight h4 seems very superficial.
Knight f5 is even a possibility there.
Great move by Nemo. And for the first time this game, I think she's not worse.
No. And if knight g3, this pawn's already defended enough times, but even think about g5 and then rook h7.
And rook f7, absolutely.
And she's thinking,
The clock.
you gotta go.
Oh my gosh, she's down to 13 seconds.
Yeah, she's not moving quickly enough here.
Freezing.
What's she gonna do? King h7. Now rook here.
Rook e1 at some point is going to happen, probably now.
And now rook a to e8 might hang the a6 pawn. It's annoying to be. Oh gosh, queen does rook f6, barely holding everything together.
And then maybe g4.
Ooh, b3. That's a slow move. And she hangs a6. So
yep.
b3 was a very clever move by Levy.
But it's not over. Black getting her pieces centralized here.
Right, if that bishop gets to e4, oh my goodness, that's going to be a really powerful piece. And rook a8, not out of the question.
So Levy drops his queen back to d3.
Queen a7 at some moment is tempting.
Queen
the knight comes
e7.
back. The knight's returning.
Now queen a7, but c3.
Ooh, defends everything at once.
Okay.
c5?
One second.
She's just trying to use the e-file, but no time for her.
She's got to make a gazillion more moves. This game is nowhere near ending.
No, and knight d2 hangs c2, so do not bring that knight back.
I would still go c3, but that weakens the b3 pawn.
Yeah, bishop d5, bishop d3, or queen somewhere. I mean, there's so many ideas for black, but no time. Okay.
Knight d2, knight d2.
Knight d2 looks very reasonable and played.
Ooh.
Okay, queen g3. This one's under attack.
Attacking the pawn, but Nemo playing too passively here. Knight c4.
I mean, she only has 2.5 seconds left. She's trying to hold on desperately.
Rook a1.
Rook a1.
If a knight appears on e5, the game is over.
Is there bishop takes g2 as a threat, followed by rook e2?
But queen g2 and rook f2.
You got that rook f2 move. You see everything.
But without that,
c5. You have to make some kind of pawn pushing. It's not b4.
Now Levy's going to go b4, knight b3, knight c5.
Oh. You got to move. Queen c5, there's still rook a6.
Rook a6, you can't defend the pawn.
Yeah, the rook
Oh my
defends.
God. And Levy down to 20 seconds. Holy
She's playing-
smokes.
She's doing amazingly well considering she has no time.
Without question.
Ooh, she
How about
took-
DE?
Wait, I think you want to keep her king feeling safer with more pawns there. And Levy down to 11 seconds.
Queen c4, defending the pawn on a6.
Yeah, c5 was the threat as well. So
She blunders another pawn.
yeah, rook 7. She
Takes
blundered.
c7 and a7.
Oh, that's just brilliant.
Although
Rook
rook b8. though.
Uh-oh, I think it's a very important pawn there.
And another one is hanging.
Two of
This is
them.
still a game. 2 seconds for Levy.
Rook a6.
Takes it, rook a6. Rook a6.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
how did she
goodness.
do this?
Rook d6, and now black is very much in the game.
Take d4. Queen
Wants
d4.
to create loft. Queen f7.
Oh my gosh, she's better.
She's winning.
Queen d3. Okay, she's
Don't blunder f4. Oh, rook f5. Oh, e3, e3, e3.
That's square.
Oh.
She goes queen g6.
Oh
You
my
can't
God,
take b5
H4 by
no
Levy.
matter what.
Great move. Queen f4. Oh, there's going to be a
Rook
pin.
f7, king g8.
1 second for Levy.
Oh my gosh, he's barely gonna
Oh my
lose off. Rook
goodness.
f6. Rook f6.
H3. Threatening mate. Oh, HG. No HG first.
HG
Oh,
first.
she's going to lose.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my God. HG
We're-
first.
We're gonna show that game as soon as this one concludes. Levy is taking this.
Oh my God. What did we just see? Where was the win for black?
It was HG.
But King G won?
Hold up. I'm pulling it up. Don't worry.
Oh my God.
Right
That
here.
is-
After queen d6,
HG.
HG.
King G won.
You can't move your rook.
Oh,
It's pinned.
Oh.
It's pinned.
Oh my God. And if you go King H2, black promotes, obviously.
Right. And this rook on c5 is just in the way of everything.
Oh my God. But she had to play that even if she didn't see that it was pinned. You just got to throw that move in.
It's really difficult though when someone takes your rook not to react. And I mean,
Right.
rook, he lined up a good tactic. It just didn't work in this position because the
That's
h
actually a great tactic
yes. Wow.
because it wins with if it weren't for the pin.
Indeed.
Oh my lands. And
Oh,
that
wait.
is a absolute heartbreaker.
And Nemo's white in this game. I would have expected her to have the black pieces.
No, Nemo's black in the King's Gambit just now.
No, I know, but I'm looking at the setup here, and actually, what am I talking about? This is a like King's Gambit sort of thing reversed.
Yeah, this was a Schliemann.
So Levy is having fun with his opening choices.
It's funny because in Russian it's called the Yanish, and I see it on chess.com's its opening label is the Janish Gambit, even though I thought in English it's called the Schliemann.
Does that translate? Like, does Janisch to Schliemann?
Yeah, I don't know why that happens sometimes, right? Where different openings are called differently in different languages. So, for example, the perk, right? Very little known fact. In Russian, it's called the Ufimtsev. The formal name is the Pirts Ufimtsev.
But well, what about Vasya Pierce?
Well, what about Anatoly Ufimtsev,
I don't know who that is. So,
master who played the perk?
well, one of the players was known for that opening. The other is just known by you.
Right. No, it
So-
is called the Ufimtsev.
White is up a pawn. This pawn f5. Black has the bishop pair and likely to win this pawn back.
Yep. This reminds me of FEMA Geller, not to be confused with the Federal Emergency Management Association. It's short for FM. Yeah, this is not looking great for white.
I think c3 should be played, even though it looks unappealing. Oh, that gives away this pawn. She might
Also-
want some quick play here, though.
Levy could park his bishop on d6. Bishop a6 is also possible, but then maybe
Bishop a6, rook e1, and I threaten d takes e4.
yeah, this is a game. I mean, black hasn't castled yet. Levy developing his bishop.
Rook e1. Oh, no, you can't get away with castling, but it is.
Oh, and knight e4.
clever. Yeah, but it's too clever for your own good, because after takes, knight takes, the points of queen takes, then you get a back rank checkmate. But I thought I didn't have to take you and could make move like f3 here because there's a loose bishop.
Oh, and you could take that bishop and then sack on e8 and get a bunch of pieces for the queen.
Yeah, and you'd have to play like bishop c5 check and then take with the knight, and okay, white can't be unhappy about this.
Very true. Instead, we have an endgame.
Okay, she's going after this. And if d6, she probably wanted knight a5, but there's bishop d7.
Same with knight d4, bishop d7.
Yes, because don't go that way. Knight f5 to bishop.
And then king f7.
Yeah, and you bring your rook to e8, and you say you've done all that you need to do with respect to king safety.
Right. Right.
So knight e6 takes, rook takes, the king goes to d7, and black's pawn structure is worse for the time being, but black also is very compact.
Right. Rook up to e2, preparing to double.
What do you think? Does white want to trade both pairs of rooks? Does how many rooks does each side want to trade?
That's a good question. I guess white wouldn't mind a trade of all four rooks, just because I don't know. It feels like rook b4 is an idea. White's position here is a little bit flimsier than it appears. I think that's the bottom line here.
And b3. So I mean, so far I can see 2 pawn islands for white, 3 for black, and isolated a pawn. Knight f3, not a move that was approved of there. I was wondering if maybe knight going to e6 was available, just putting pressure on this pawn and trying to get rid of that bishop pair. But I like Levy's position, don't you?
No, I like Levy's position as well. He's got all of the key squares defended. He's got a totally acceptable position here. Maybe c6, c5, and bishop c6 could be considered as a way to expand.
Looks reasonable. That bishop would be very strong on the long diagonal here. It's the only light squared bishop, and that's going to cause white some issues. The bishop can come to f5 to put pressure on c2, or as you're pointing out, can go to the longest diagonal.
Right. Okay, bishop b2 by Nemo, developing her bishop. Levy could do the same with bishop g7 if he wants.
Indeed. Although, Danya, in some of these positions, right, like if bishop g7, knight e4, just trying to figure out what trades happen. If white has a knight against this light square bishop, who's happier about that?
Who's happier in the event of a trade?
Like if only the pieces that I have highlighted, that white keeps this knight, black keeps this light square bishop.
I think it's white, right? Because the bishop could be a tool the black could use to attack, for example, the c2 pawn. I mean, there's a lot of light squares that the light squared bishop does a great job controlling here for black. So I don't think black wants that trade, unless it comes on f3 and ruins white's structure.
Sorry.
And even then.
Yeah, you're correct. I'll rephrase. If black only has a bishop and white only has this knight.
Oh, I thought you meant if the bishop is trading.
No. I'm not trading them. I'm trading off the pieces of the dark squares. Yes. Who is happy with it?
Because white's got her queenside pawns on light squares, I think black might be happy. And we might actually see that. That's a good question to ask here.
Because if bishop g7, we'll get those trades, and bishop g7 at any moment will offer the dark square bishop exchange.
Instead, we have an exchange this way. Bishop c6 is likely here, or bishop f5.
Bishop f5 forces rook e2, and then
rook e8.
Maybe rook e8.
What rook e8? Takes a knight e1.
Yeah, it's passive, but how do you increase the pressure from black's perspective? That's a difficult question. So a5, a4 available. So what next? I think that knight d2, a bishop f5, just walk into it. C2
4 rook e8. Levy pushing his pawn to a4 instead.
Yeah, but that doesn't. It may open the a file actually. That could be.
That's what I'm worried about. I'm really, really worried about white's queenside pawns. Like, this almost reminds me of a Berlin in some ways. You get this kind of pawn pressure, if you know what I mean.
Yes, and there's nothing. White may have to throw some pawns on the king side up the board sooner rather than later, because you have a 3-on-2 here. It's not operational at the moment, but when you start pushing the pawns, now you're causing black some issues.
Nemo's clock also dwindling.
Rook e3, so that's one check.
Levy prevents it with bishop c6. Rook a8, your idea, I think, is coming next.
Yeah. And what about h4?
Yeah, you got to create some counterplay on the king side. You can't just let black, focus all of his attention on infiltrating the queen side with rook a8.
Yeah, just create a target. That way your knight can join. And king
I don't like this. Not one bit.
can't even run too soon because g2 is loose. Knight c4. There's no d5. That's good. Ooh,
Levy immediately taking b3.
Do you take with the c pawn? She does that. She loves the outside pass pawn.
Yeah, we've had that several times. But rook a8 forces a4. Okay, never mind. Now bishop takes c4 as a threat. Watch out.
She goes back and c4, b takes c4, rook takes b2, and the knight is also loose. So c4 is possible if you want it.
I guess if you were rook c3, but then there's bishop g7 and then a fork with the pawn at the end of the line.
That's just mean.
The bishops are lording over the position, dominating over the knight. Levy definitely calculating c4 right now.
For sure. And then if after c4, I'd probably just make a move like h4. Just throw a pawn forward on the king side. And Levy thinking, trying to figure out if c4 is the most accurate. A rook a8 can always be played, as you mentioned, just to force that pawn to move and then maybe even go back to b8.
Or you could make a neutral move like bishop e7. But I think c4 is a big opportunity because white can move for bishop.
Ooh, and h5, so voluntarily weakening the g5, but maybe he sees a future with bishop comes to h6.
Uh-huh. Putting his dark squared bishop to work.
And knight e4, there's bishop e7, just defending that pawn. f3.
Oh, that really weakens that rook. The knight, bishop h6 now looks unpleasant.
Yeah,
still like c4.
Bishop h6, rook d3, quick move.
c6 goes Levy.
Where's his knight going? Pick your position.
Pick your poison.
Whoa.
Bishop b5 and g4. Oh,
Bishop b5 and g4 was it, definitely.
oh, bishop b5, rook c3, bishop g7. That just one material.
Yeah. And now the pawns of an a4. We know that Nemo loves these outside pass pawns. She's already won one game with one of those. Rook c3.
Pushing his pawns in the center.
Because
Bishop g7, rook c5.
She goes rook e3, allowing a discovered check after 2 g4.
I think Levy made the right call here, going rook b8, threatening c4.
Rook e5
1
is
second for Nemo move.
She went rook e2 back and c4.
Oh, c4 is nasty.
And d4 played.
D4.
Oh my goodness, he just created a weakness for himself.
And bishop f8, maybe there's rook e5.
Yes, and there's also knight c4 ideas just to get this check-ins. And
blundering the bishop, the knight.
Oh gosh, but she still has a chance by getting this pawn to 7.
Rook takes b3 though.
Oh, rook takes b3 is lights out.
Yes,
Takes,
it is that.
takes.
I mean, Levy has only one pawn remaining at the end of the line, but it's a very, very valuable pawn.
It is, and here comes the king joining the party. The bishop can block the check.
Don't go d2.
Oh!
Rook d3. Rook d3 wins.
Oh my goodness! But imagine playing that
Levy
with.
see it though. He's got to keep his going. Rook d3.
He missed a king e3.
King e3. King
no way!
Nemo.
But rook d4.
Oh, what is Levy doing?
King e6.
No, king e4.
Oh no, rook d5. Oh my gosh!
No. Oh my god, that was a.
Oh goodness, we're gonna have to bring that one up.
Oh my god, there's so many. So many chances.
Okay, well, let's see. Back down here.
So all mayhem broke loose when Levy played d2.
Yes. And rook d3 is the winning move. d1 equals queen allows rook d8 check, but rook d3, the point is you're threatening to promote, and after a check, king comes to c4, and that's a trade where black promotes.
Right, but instead Levy takes on a4, and now king back to e3 essentially forces black's hand. Black can under promote to a knight, and there are still some chances. But this is obviously theoretically a draw.
Right.
Instead, Nemo goes king f5, again allowing the same idea with rook d4, which again Levy doesn't play. And then Robert, king f4.
No, you need to bring your king somewhere where you make sure that the rook can't get to d5. So king e4, the king sure will go to c3. And then even here, you can play king f4 because there's no longer rook to d5. Although here actually maybe you're allowing rook a4 to d4. So
king e3.
Oh, yeah. And then you get the pawn. So that was an opportunity for Nemo. She was playing this pretty decently, holding on for dear life. And yet again, Levy takes the game, and now he has the white side of this English position.
Indeed. The score is 5-1. It's a 4-point lead. Nemo in time scrambles has been excellent, by and large. She's given herself chances, so that bodes pretty well for her chances in the 3-minute portion. But man, this lead is starting to balloon to alarming proportions.
Yeah, in consecutive games there, Nemo missed that h6 g2 check move, which actually would have won her the game. And then she missed an out there for a draw. So she faced a 4-game deficit. Levy with the white pieces here. It's a solid position for black. We see this in the games of so many Super-Grandmasters. I feel like I've seen many Peter Svidler games with this opening.
And they're Geary or something.
Yeah, and Hikaru they all dabble with this kind of thing. So black is going to consider the move a4. She brought her rook to d8, but black could have considered a4 at some point just to make sure that the one pawn takes care of two, but she's playing in the center.
And Levy could play on the queen side with b4. He also sort of prepares d4 in certain positions, although that's a very, very committal move.
Although I
kind of like white's position. I mean, the two bishops are the two bishops after all.
They are indeed the two bishops, and coming up with a plan for black is not easy. Perhaps this queen should go to f7 just to give yourself the idea of bishop b3 with the skewer. After queen f7, of course, this knight can go back, but then you could even put your bishop on d5 to offer a trade.
And that is exactly what is occurring. Knight d2, bishop d5.
Mm-hmm.
Lawrence Trent visiting the studio.
Lawrence Trent's where?
No.
Oh,
English accent.
I thought Lawrence was joining the chat. You know, I don't read chat, so.
No, you don't read the chat.
You didn't sound like Lawrence. Just
totally not what he sounds like.
Yeah, not in the slightest.
Not even a bit, yes.
Yeah, you're really gonna have to work on that one.
Robert, I don't like your attitude.
I don't even know who you sound like.
No, I don't know who I sound like.
Queen a4. Decent move. The queen might even snake into b5 with some problems on b7.
Mm-hmm.
Queen h5 does create a one-move threat, but the bishop can walk up to f3, preventing your threat and attacking the queen.
Yeah, this can get a little unpleasant for black if white shoves that b pawn up the board. The queenside pressure needs to be kept at bay.
And I would wait for b4 to then have the availability of knight to d4. For now, not very easy to make work because two pieces cover the square. But after b4 and you trade once, then this knight comes into d4. And then white really doesn't want to take on d4. Like if we just show this position, if you take, you might give me the c3 square.
Except bishop takes d5 almost works, but there's bishop takes d5. You see the idea.
Yeah, you wanted to play bishop b5, rook takes c7, and then have this rook hanging with checkmate.
Right. Instead, Levy, and this is on the board.
Mm-hmm. I like black's
by
position.
Nemo.
So rook e1, perhaps, just to... But then b6 will force you to take on d4.
Mm-hmm.
Although
the
b6
doesn't seem concerned.
b6 doesn't seem like a move you really want to play in some positions, though, because as soon as you play b6, after maybe taking on d5, play b5, and you have this backward pawn, a pawn loose on d4. So it's a messy position.
Definitely. Levy, well, he has to defend e2. He's probably deciding between rook e1 and bishop takes d4. But I agree, rook e1 is definitely the move. You want to provoke b6.
Well, he takes it with knight e4.
Ah, clever.
Provoking b6 for a different reason.
And then queen c6. But okay.
That's annoying. And f5 to kick the knight runs right into knight g5, so I would not advise that.
There's also the concept of going b5 and opening up a lateral attack on the d4 pawn.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Is there rook takes? No.
I see what you're going for. You're going for something knight d6.
I feel a queen. I mean, there is a way to win the d4 pawn. It might be b5.
Just
it probably is b5.
Yeah, that looks pretty straightforward. And I think what's surprising and why we're looking for different ideas is because it doesn't look like it's +3, but that's how important that d4 pawn is to black's position. It's the only source of counterplay. So once you play b5 and win this pawn on d4, black is in big trouble.
Yeah, that pawn is the anchor of black's whole position. You take it, knight comes to c5, bishop on g2 starts to terrorize black's position. This is not good.
Yeah, this is really, really bad.
Of course he sees it.
f5, knight g5 is a problem. You need the pawn h6, so you could play f5, kick the knight, and then get your knight to c3, but you're not in time.
Mm-hmm.
And importantly, after f5, knight to queen f6, it looks like you're defending, but after this knight captures this bishop here, you'll have to take with the queen, because otherwise your knight d5 is lost.
Yeah, this ain't looking good.
And it's the final game of this time segment, so for Nemo, perhaps it couldn't, it's good that it's coming now, right? It couldn't have come sooner, the finale of this time control, but Levy is about to open up a 5-point lead.
Yeah, and we've seen insane comebacks. There's plenty of time remaining in the match. I think Nemo will be happy with the change of pace. I think she'll be happy with the change from the 5 minutes to the 3-minute portion. Her time management has been, one of the only bright spots of the 5-minute portion. I don't know if you'd agree with that.
Yeah, no, her time management and also the way she's been handling those bullet scrambles. Yeah, it really feels like that gives her a chance in all of the games. But right now, unfortunately for her, she's dropping the central pawn, and it's going to cause her whole position to collapse.
And it's also going to cause her clock to dwindle all the way down below a minute. Bishop g4, maybe.
Just to go after this pawn?
No, it takes a knight g5 even.
There's so many ideas with this diagonal. For example, I'm just like, if you go like this, you're not going to take because rook takes, but bishop b3, you can just take.
It's funny. I was thinking of exactly the same line. You could also take on d4 there, but this is, but takes, so there's rook e6.
And then you get up a piece.
Exactly. Yes.
Bishop g4, f3.
No, that can't be right.
f3, never play f3.
Bishop back to d7 by Nemo. And now the bishop on g2 is out of commission for the time being.
So can you just take this pawn? Is that the point?
I think you can. Rook c5, bishop back to c6. Don't go c6.
No. Don't touch this pawn. You need that to cover the d6 square. Maybe I spoke a little too soon, chalking this up as a Levy victory. It says it's zeros, and I'm still worried about Black's position because White only has this one pawn island. Things seem to be strong towards the center of the board. But bishop c6 played by Nemo. She's handling this well. Nemo.
20 seconds, though, and she's shown an ability to stay alive, even with almost no time on the clock in these middle games. Let's see if she can pull it off again. Bishop f3 by Levy, moving the bishop onto a defended square.
Okay. Is there knight c5? Maybe there's like some tactic with knight takes f4? No.
Time to calculate it. Queen f2, maybe simply.
Queen f2 now. That's what's played. And f5 runs into knight g5, but that's not that scary anymore.
Although it could be followed with e4.
Oh, that would be a big move.
And like queen f2 to a2 in some positions.
Here it comes.
Uh-oh. I didn't like f takes e4.
Whoa,
wait, ef. No.
Yeah. She pre-moved bishop takes e3. Ef, there's rook e3 holding on, or bishop takes d1. And maybe more than holding on.
So queen f3 simply, and everything collapses. Knight d7, there's e6. You gotta go knight h5.
That does threaten rook takes e5 if you're not careful. Yeah, agreed. If you try to trap the knight with rook d4, g4, queen f4.
Rook d5. Goodbye.
Hello.
Hello, knight on h5. I can take you 2 different ways.
Yeah, she'll play b6 and try to get this pawn. This king is wide open.
Yeah. Knight e4, rook e5, though, I think, is one practical way to play.
And, she goes down here, just opening up some threats.
Yep. Rook d1, rook e6, and rook d8 comes to mind.
How about rook takes c7?
Oh, queen b1.
King f2.
Yeah.
And then queen takes e4. I'm just getting
e5, good move. Or not.
Wait.
Oh, knight f6, no, queen takes e5 was chances.
Yeah, you would have had 2 pawns for the piece.
Oh my gosh. Now queen h6.
Oh, nice move. That's a really nice move. Just stopping 1 square short with a check, winning the rook, and that's game. And just down the stretch here, after rook e5 takes, pawn takes, queen takes e5, did give Black some chances because in the event of a queen trade, it's these 2 pawns against this knight.
This would not have been easy to win, but Nemo understandably rejecting out of hand the queen trade. She loses the game, and Levy has blown open the doors on this, the inaugural IM not a GMSCC match with a lead of 6-1, Robert.
Yeah, no, he's playing really good chess. It seems like he's had the upper hand throughout most of the match. And Nemo, to her credit, she's digging deep and fighting, but Levy's had the advantage for a very large portion of the match.
Indeed, and we will see if Nemo can turn the match around. We've got 45 minutes of 3+1 to come in just a couple of moments. But first, we're going to give the players a breather. We will go on a short break. And when we come back, this match will return. You're watching the I Am Not a GM SCC, back with the 3+1 portion from Levy's match against Nemo on the other side of this break.
Blue check marks. Everybody loves blue check marks. Chess.com is excited to launch its own blue check mark today with our verified members program. And for the first time, for any online platform anywhere, there will be a transparent and clear process to how you become verified and get that blue check mark. Any Chess.com member can become verified by having their account linked to a real identity with a unique payment form and SMS held privately in their profile. Most importantly, applicants must pass a comprehensive fair play screening in order to get verified. All right, but besides the blue check mark, why should you become verified? First and foremost, all verified players are eligible to play in the Chess.com World Championship. With $1 million in prizes, including regular cash prizes for non-titled members, this massive and historic event has but one cost of entry, your $15 verification fee in order to become verified. Additionally, other verified benefits will include access to regular verified-only events, listing on verified-only leaderboards, priority pairings against other verified-only members, and more. To learn more about how to become verified, if you're watching this during one of our live shows, use the command verified in chat, or if you're watching it anywhere else, go to chess.com/verified today and go get that beautiful butterfly. Blue check mark. What is going on here? Hey, Elon. Yeah, no, you saw the news. I know you like buying companies with blue check marks, but we're not for sale. Dude, do you even know how to move the pieces? All right. All right, we're going to get back to this later. I got to record a video. Thanks, buddy. Elon.
Okay, welcome back to the I'm Not a GMSCC. We've got Levy Rozman facing off against Nemo in our inaugural match. Robert, the 5-minute portion not going well for Nemo. She needs to turn it around. She needs to defy the Smarter Chess expectations in the 3-minute portion.
She certainly does. And she has been playing better than the score would indicate. Sometimes when you have a 6-1 score, it's completely lopsided battle, but there has been some back and forth. Of course, Levy should have this lead, maybe not by the margin of 6-1, but he has been playing the better chess thus far. I do believe she has chances. Her time scramble ability has proven to be quite promising. And now we're here, less time on the clock. So maybe she'll be more confident in her decision and just play rather than overthinking in some of the earlier moments.
And John Bartholomew, Levy Rozman playing another Scandi. And again, that queen making an appearance on F5. I think this might be one of the first times in Scandi history that a queen has been on F5.
Well, the knight was on F3 in that earlier game. If we can remember, she went queen E2, and then Levy was able to take and quickly play knight C6 to D4. Here, she put the pawn on F3, which we know Ben Feingold will be rolling his eyes at. But I think, Danya, we can agree that the bishop on B7 loses some of its might when it stares at a pawn chain.
It does indeed. Nemo maneuvering her knight to G3, potentially onto E4. But I don't feel like this kind of structure is what will topple Rome or slay the Medusa. I mean, this is not, this is not the secret sauce.
Well, it's very solid for white, and Levy brings the knight to C6 and probably eyeing this D4 square. White can shift gears a bit and start trying to cover up those dark squares. Although Levy castling queenside down yet, that's a big, big decision as white can strike with, well, not anymore.
And once the knight appears on D4, the levies are really going to break.
Did you take the Chevy to the levy?
I actually did go there. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll chase the Chevy in the levy.
You just changing my references. Okay, I see you. But H5.
What is that reference to?
Oh gosh, you do not want to ask that question publicly.
Is it like what was that biscuit, Limb Biscuit or something? Another thing that I'm supposed to know, and I don't.
My goodness, I'm not even going to tell you because you're asking for it by not knowing these song lyrics.
At least tell me the singer.
No, I'm not going to tell you anything. You're going to have to look this up afterwards.
I'm going to look it up right now. Commentate.
Okay, it's Bye Bye, Miss American Pie. It's the song American Pie by Don McLean. And you should know this.
I do know who Don McLean is.
Well, you clearly don't.
I don't like your tone.
I'm just trying to help you out.
1971. I'm not aware of anything that happened before 1995, the greatest year in the world, the year I was born.
Well, knight on F4, attacking a queen. If bishop takes, we have opposite colored bishops, but white's king is castled and heading on over to B1 eventually. And the black king needs to make a decision, Danya. So I don't know where it's going to go.
Well, you're assuming it has to move. I mean, you can also castle here. Levy trades and goes knight d5, hitting the bishop, defending c7. H4 is on deck, and the g2 pawn might hang. This actually is a bit of a problem. How do you work around that?
Giving up the g2 pawn to rook g1 at the end, and rook takes g7.
Yeah, Levy doesn't even bother. He goes a5.
And he wants a4 and maybe even a3. I'd be very tempted to bring my king over to b1, Danya.
Right. No, you kind of have to. You don't want to get checkmated because black's pawn might appear on a2 in the blink of an eye.
Right, a4, b4, a3, b3, a2, check.
A2, b1, b2, a2.
You suck my battleship. No?
Okay, is that a reference to the game?
Yes.
Oh, right. B2. Okay, now I got it. Yeah. I used to play Battleship all the time.
Well, clearly your memory is failing you.
That's a process which started many years ago. Now, you know what else is failing white? B3, queen f6, Robert. C3, knight takes b4. And that attack is no laughing matter.
Oh, so queen e5 play. That's
nice
a
move.
Great move by Nemo here. A takes b2, not the end of the world. This knight should just jump over the e4 square, maybe even venture to c5.
Knight e4.
This
Here
queen
comes the knight.
Almost trapped. Rook h5. There's queen d4. Okay.
Yep, that's about to happen. And now Levy can't castle anymore. Not that his king is that unsafe. I think he wants queen d4, rook d... No, queen a7 then.
Right, the queen gets to snake on over to a7, and that's a problem for black. And ab2, king b2, it may seem like the white king is unsafe, but this rook comes to a1, and that's actually a favorable transition for Nemo.
Absolutely. And she'll turn the queen side around entirely from black's realm of attack to white's.
Mm-hmm. So Levy here sitting and thinking. Another idea to consider at some point is g4, because if we get a trade, then you can use the h file to white's benefit.
Yeah, Nemo has handled the middle game wonderfully so far.
And knight b6. I think that the knight a4 idea is what Levy's looking for.
Although even if you allowed it, white could play b3. But look
True.
at the clock. It's starting to dwindle.
Yeah, she's spending a lot of time in this moment. b3 is an option right now for white. She has bishop c3. She wants this pawn.
Oh my, I thought rook d5. No, I guess f6. Rook e1.
Oh gosh, like knight c5, rook e1 ideas as you're pointing out.
This is so promising, but 15 seconds.
Knight c5. Knight c5.
Move.
Yeah, go knight c5. If rook d5, then the queen takes h4.
She's down to 10 seconds. She starts with rook e1.
Why the d rook?
Yeah, exactly. My thoughts exactly.
I'm not sure, but either way, it's clear what her plan is. Is she going to freak out and take this pawn here?
No,
she's like queen 3.
Knight c5 is now on tap.
And so is knight takes f6.
Ooh, I don't know if how much of a threat that is.
Yeah, maybe it looks scarier than it actually is.
Oh, it is, because queen e6, queen e7, queen c7 picks up a minor piece.
Yeah, I have to admit that's not exactly what I was looking for, but all your pieces are hanging on this side of the board.
And now look at Levy's clock.
Yeah, down 20 seconds. His king is in the center. Knight c5.
Uh-oh.
If bishop
c8.
just take. Oh, that's a piece.
Oh, Levy blundered a piece. Oh, she didn't take it.
Honestly,
but
this
still good.
Oh, watch out for queen a2 coming at some point.
This might even be better though, because f takes c5. It comes in. Look at black's king. It's kind of the crossfire.
Rook c5, queen a2, knight a4.
Oh, castles! I forgot that was a thing.
What?
But it's still bad. Bishop e5. Look at the position.
Yeah, no, this is really bad for black.
She has to win this game.
96. 96.
Rook g1 attacking. Where does the queen go?
It's trapped.
It's trapped.
Oh my gosh.
Rook e5. Oh, Levy has to give it up.
Yeah, no, but if you're giving up your queen there.
But Robert, it's not over. There's a pawn on g. Oh, queen e6.
Queen e6.
Queen e6.
2 seconds. Go. Go.
Oh my God. No, not like that.
Whoa.
Rook c5. Rook c5. Oh no.
What is she doing?
Oh, and Levy's gonna move.
Oh my gosh.
Now it's a game.
It is completely a game.
It's still completely winning.
Rook e7.
Oh, Levy. Levy's gonna flag. Oh.
What just happened?
Oh my God, what a game, and a great game overall by Nemo.
Yeah, her defensive instincts were unbelievable in that game.
Do not mess with Levy in this line. I got a lost position in our last Title Tuesday game in about 4 moves in this H4 line.
I can't believe he even realized he could still castle queenside.
I know that was a badass move, but it didn't help with the underlying issues.
But it might have been the most impressive part of that entire game. Like that he remembered that he hadn't moved his king or his rook on move.
Well, by the way, I haven't castled yet. 35 moves in.
Oh my gosh. If you take, you have to take with his pawn, trade queens. That looks pretty good for white.
Yeah.
I don't understand this opening.
I don't understand anything that's happening, but I don't like this for black at all.
Wasn't Queen F6 a move just a second ago?
Oh, and then like knight F2 and E5, or even E5 immediately.
Yeah.
It absolutely was a move.
Bishop D6.
So what should white do? Take it and just go like knight C3 and enjoy life?
Or bishop B5, knight C3. So
I don't like this because now bishop takes F4. You don't want to give black a dark squared bishop for free.
right. I'm a little lost so far in this opening, but I think the players,
Whoa. None of the moves are easy to predict here.
Yeah, takes, and now
I guess
maybe
EF.
okay, and then I can go back to F6, but
Why is it +2?
I don't know. I'm at a loss right now.
I guess because black's development is lacking and knight F3 comes with tempo.
Oh yeah,
Okay, but still, is that bad?
G4.
Whoa.
Okay, so we have themes of this match. Levy will throw his pawns up the king side every time, and Nemo will try to secure an outside pass pawn.
Right.
G5 is not even a threat.
No, rook G1 though is, and then G5 comes with great effect. And you know what else hurts Nemo? She can't play D6. Yeah, exactly.
Queen
Knight
B6.
D2.
Oh, God. Well, you're going to give B2 and C3?
Yeah.
Not your pieces. You're such a good commentator.
Thank you.
You know how this works. Although after knight D2, I would even consider at some point taking on D5 just so I can develop my darn queen side.
Levy's definitely thinking about it. I guess he wants to deploy the knight through A3, which is a typical idea in the trump.
But look at Nemo, D6, she wanted to go after this pawn. And I would consider the move E5 here to make this bishop on E4 look like it's just happy to be there, but not doing all that much.
But then white's going to go C4, knight C3, and use that E4 point as a Frankfurt airport for a bunch of the pieces.
Yeah, and you can enjoy that airport.
I know that airport so well.
G5 was not on my radar.
Neither was it on mine. And now if you play E5, you're creating a bunch of gaping holes on the light squares.
And you can never play for F5 if you play E5. So like normally when you give control of a square, you would like to put the pawn back on G6 and then control the light squares. But when you have pawns 2 squares apart, the square in between is now your opponent's.
And the problem here, I think, is going to be a line like Queen C2 and Bishop F5. And look at those light squares in the center.
Mm-hmm.
A4, maybe.
Goodness.
This is very, very positionally ugly for Nemo.
Yeah, these pieces on the 4th rank for white, all doing good work.
I feel like a Levy type of idea is like King E2 and Rook H1.
And that's just a good idea. But I don't know if I love A5.
Was that necessary?
Yeah, it gives black access to open up the queen side, and black has no space.
Although Bishop F5 is coming very decisively. Knight FT2 first, maybe.
Yeah, you're just going to take over those light squares. You're a bully.
Yes, sir, I am.
I guess if Bishop F5 and Bishop B5, it's kind of desperate.
And then still Knight FT2.
Yeah. Even Knight C to D2.
I just don't see this. I don't see Nemo surviving this more than another 10 moves.
Delayed Bond Cloud.
Right. And maybe Levy will do the same, but then Bishop B5 for sure.
So yeah, let's not play King to E2 just yet. I mean, the F5 and E4 squares, transit squares, is how I learned about these. Is that what they're called for you?
Transit squares? Well, that's why I refer to them as Frankfurt Airport squares.
Oh, because, okay, I'm just making sure that, what I learned wasn't wrong.
Because who visits Frankfurt just to visit the city, right? No, it's a transit point to Amsterdam, and
you're about to upset people. How dare you?
I know it's a beautiful city, but I feel like Munich is,
Your question was who visits Frankfurt? Frankfurters do.
That's true.
I think Bishop B5.
Oh! Look at the squares. Bishop B5. At least go Bishop B5. You got to keep your bishop alive.
No.
Oh, rook h1 is also coming, and white's going to penetrate down the other side.
Yeah, but all the light squares.
Queen a4 on the other side too.
Knight g7, queen f5, or as you said, queen a4.
Oh
No.
Knight b6 even could be winning in some positions.
Okay, just knight takes d6, something.
Oh my god. Oh, and there comes the knight. White's all over.
Rook takes h4. Oh, I thought it was rook h4.
Queen a4 is mate.
Oh goodness, and rook h4.
King e8.
Knight c5 double check. King e8.
Queen g6, for example.
The knight takes d6.
Oh
gosh.
Knight e6, knight d6. Goodbye. White is blowing this position up to smithereens.
Yeah.
Rook h7. Oh, rook h7. Where was the queen going?
Wait, where was the queen going?
It would have been trapped. You would have had to give up your knight. It's still winning, of course.
King can't move. I was like, move the king so you get a surprise queen c2 check in.
Oh my goodness. That was close to an en passant checkmate. Eric Rosen, shout out in the chat. A participant in the IM GM. 92, good line by Nemo.
Mm-hmm.
This disarms 1b6 entirely.
Yeah, because f5 is an idea if the queen was on e2, because with the g2 pawn under attack through the pawn e4, but with no trapped rook in the corner.
Don't go c5 a3. I've fallen into this a million times. a3, bishop c3, bc, c4.
I've won like this a ton online.
So many times. Okay,
good
Nemo
move.
Recognizes it.
And if the well, king f8 was trickier, right? So if we just take a step back here, now after a3 and you get this position, you can't take with the pawn because black has c4, a6, b5, or a6 first.
This is such a tilting. I think everybody can relate to that situation. You've got a bishop on b5 and you know what's coming and there's nothing you can do about it.
Indeed. I've won on the black side of this position many times in Blitz chess.
Indeedovich. And what to make of this position? This is as good as it gets, I think, for 1b6.
Yeah, you can think about throwing the f pawn up the board. Now there's already a threat. You have a hanging pawn.
This knight f5 is possible.
Take with the pawn.
Definitely. Without question.
She's questioning it. She's trying to figure it out.
But knight c3, black can already castle, and you can't take on c5.
Right. And I think some people would not enjoy seeing these double pawns, but it's typical of a French defense to have pawns like this. You're reinforcing your center, you have the bishop pair, and now you can just start going for an attack on the king side.
A trade on c6, followed by dc. Although I guess knight c6, no, still dc.
You could, and she does it. Wow, she put it very quickly. I was about to say that you brought another piece away from the king side, so you could bring your knight into the game, knight g3, f4, things like that.
Okay. Now, knight e5, I guess there's either CB or even something like queen d4. I mean, this is the dark squares are killing black in a position like, and if you play PC, obviously you won't be able to castle.
And Nemo's pre-moving at this point. So queen d4, f4, f5.
Also, rook b1 could be thrown in. At some point.
One of these rooks over here. Probably this one.
I like the way Nemo is handling this.
As do I. I mean, f6 is a move to consider.
Ooh, this is scary.
Here. f4?
f4 knight g6 against Levy is banking on.
Well, you can't take his check.
Exactly. Oh, also you don't have to play knight g6 for that.
What about your rook b1 move now?
Threatening rook takes b7.
Exactly. Is Levy about to castle queenside? No. We've already seen one ridiculous queenside castle today.
No.
I like
big moment. Nemo taking her time, which is good because this is a critical moment. Oh, I don't like this. Too slow.
And, okay, so bishop b6. The c3 is already defended, so you don't have to worry about that. You could even.
To 6.
He wants bishop before a5, but then bishop takes a5.
But what's the big deal about like bishop a3? I guess. What's the big deal there? Just go bishop a3.
Knight c4 g7 is hanging.
Exactly.
But f6.
Oh, and king f7, and Levy's just going to start stabilizing, and eventually his central pawns are going to start marching forward.
Yeah, no, He's protected everything. And
Rook H8.
Wasn't queen takes c3 also an option there?
Absolutely, it was.
Not right now. Don't hang a bishop.
4. Jesus.
Yeah, just bishop a8. Ooh.
Okay.
Knight
Giving Nemo a little bit of a respite.
d3 is what I would consider.
Knight c4 after that.
Yeah, and put my bishop on c. Nah. Feels bad.
Better than nothing, I think. I like knight d3.
Yeah, but the position still remains very bad. She was a little too deliberate with her plans here. She needed to press forward instead of moving back.
A4 I thought was the culprit. Even if that move itself wasn't a big mistake, it set the tone, giving Levy a chance to consolidate in the center.
And this is happening. Bishop takes a4. c2 will be weak. This configuration of pieces isn't exactly stable.
It's funny. If black had pawns on h5 and g5, then the move e6, e5 would trap the queen.
Oh, these are here. Nice.
King g8.
Hey, black castled.
Right. Yeah, this is really, really grim for Nemo. So many weaknesses in her position here.
I was going to say knight b4, but after bishop
moves.
You can't even take this pawn. Your bishop is hanging.
Oh, bishop takes a4 simply. And knight a6. There's all sorts of shenanigans. Queen c6. Why is Levy not accepting charitable contributions here?
He's enjoying how dominant his position is, right? He doesn't need extra material.
True.
But knight d6, okay. Bishop d2, there's knight e4. Yikes.
This is indefensible. Nemo trying maybe to get her queen somehow to d7, but just taking on c3 is possible. f5, anything.
Yeah, queen takes c3. Everything defends each other. The knight defends the bishop.
That was your idea.
Can you just move back?
Yeah, nah, I mean, this is...
I don't have a follow-up. I was trying to come up with one, but it doesn't exist.
Rook b3, trying her best to whip up counterplay, but Levy calmly tucks this king away in the corner. Very calmly, king goes, but okay. G8, thank you for the bishop, and queen g7.
Yes, indeed.
Queen h3, bishop g2.
And there's a pawn in the way. Knight f5, though.
Or d4.
And a win for Levy. I mean, the position was not good for Levy earlier on, but Nemo couldn't find her footing.
No, that wasn't, I mean, she started well, but wrong decision in critical moment, burned too much clock, and Levy, as a result, goes up by 6. Robert, this lead is going nowhere. It's only expanding. As we reach the halfway point of the 3-minute portion, Nemo needs a miracle recovery here. She needs to wipe the slate clean, and we will see if she is capable of doing it. But first, a very short break. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the I Am Not a GM SCC. This is our first match of many, so don't go anywhere. We'll have the second half of the 3+1 portion on the other side of this break.
This is going to be a real-time breakdown of Danny Wrench's games all time on chess.com.
That's cool. Oh! In the last month, I am playing 83.12.
I'm less accurate than them in every stage.
Yeah.
Man, that stings a little bit.
You should do the more game review.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot. Okay, so...
Tuesday sucks. I gotta stop playing chess on Tuesday. Oh, it's because it's Title Tuesday.
Look how many blunders there were back in December 2020. And now December 2021, 1,600. Don't look at this number. Look at this number. Best.
Let's go to tactics. Mates. I'll probably need to work on these ones. Yep.
Every single rook fork that has presented itself to me, I have found. No one has a higher percentage of rook forks than I do. Yes, correct.
These are literally the knight forks that you missed.
I missed knight d6?
You saw it just now.
What the is wrong with me?
I could have done here and then taken this pawn, and I'm winning because my pawns get held together. That's probably the coolest part about this feature.
Like these positions against Hess? Rook there for rook e2. And he blunders mid and one. Oh my goodness. I'm awful.
Welcome back to the IM Not a GM Speed Chess Championship. We remind you that the WSCC, the Women's Speed Chess Championship, is also coming your way at the end of Way, featuring some of the top women players in the world. A big prize fund slotted on your calendar coming your way toward the end of this month. But right now, what's coming your way is the second half of the 3-minute portion in our inaugural match between IM Levy Rozman and Women's Grandmaster Nemo Zhou. Grandmaster Robert Hess, your thoughts on the match so far?
Yeah, I think Levy is the deserved leader of this match. He's been playing great chess. He's had the advantage throughout many of these games. But I think that Nemo has held her own in some of these critical moments. And so as we finish off the 3+1 segment, go into Bullet, I think she can have a chance if she whittles this lead down by one game or two, because I do think that she is a, relatively speaking, better Bullet player than she is a Blitz player.
I agree. And we have another Trumpowski with 3H4, which I think Levy has a course on. I think it's called the Hodgson variation. There was a retired British GM named Julian Hodgson who kind of pioneered this line. And it's incredibly dangerous, as we saw in their first game in this variation. If black is not very precise.
And here on Chess.com, it's called the Raptor variation, which I honestly love. That sounds awesome. And look at this pawn on d5. It's just restricting black from developing. And you saw the evaluation bar go up in white's favor after a simple trade and a pawn sacrifice, because white can just continue taking over squares here in the center of the board. And e4 was actually incorrect on you. But I mean, I'm looking at this position. I'm liking white's chances.
I love white's chances. That pawn on h4 can be repurposed as an attacker, moving up to h5 later. As you said, white's got better development control of the center, and Nemo trying to fianchetto her bishop. Levy sacking another pawn. Bishop c3 and rook a1. Oh, rook a1.
Traps the queen.
Oh,
done.
It's over. Oh, my lands.
And she did a head slap. She's like, what was I thinking?
Nemo's tilted. That was a tilt game.
And that was a game that showcases what happens when you're not that familiar with all aspects of an opening. Whoa. She grabbed a pawn, grabbed a second, and then lost her queen.
And Nemo repeating her line from their first Schliemann game, which, to be honest with you, is not very convincing to me, this queen e2 line.
Ooh.
This time, Levy taking with the D pawn.
Yes, and Levy's shown some versatility even within the same opening. He's look knight h6, just going for this pawn directly.
Edgy.
Mm-hmm.
Knight takes f5.
Knights on the rim are supposed to be dim, but here it's just taking a pawn. The one thing I will say is this pawn e4, it's great because it restricts white's access to important squares, but it does stick out like a sore thumb. So knight c3, rook e1, if you can quickly attack it, that's great, but it seems like black is in time to defend it.
Absolutely. Castle's long and rook e8, for instance. And Levy's got everything under control here as he defends the pawn.
And defends the queen, because if you had defended the pawn with like rook d4, which just looks strange, their ideas with d3 and you don't have the e7 square protected enough.
Nemo trying to start a queenside attack, but Robert, this is like pinching a dinosaur. That a pawn is just not going to. It's a paper tiger.
Oh,
now d3.
d3, bishop d6.
Oh, wait a second. Why is white better all of a sudden? d4.
Wow. I mean, even if it's objectively inaccurate, I like the idea. Queen takes, bishop e3, get your pieces out. Maybe you take this pawn
back to
a7.
e5.
Yeah, so what? Think you scare me?
I know I scare you.
And look at Levy. He did that thing like, interesting. I wasn't expecting that. And he shies away from it.
I don't understand that at all, because now white could potentially go d4, d5. And use that pawn as a battering ram. So maybe bishop e3 first should be considered by Nemo.
Yeah, bishop e3 possibly. She says,
away.
Let's go. Let's do this thing.
And Levi. Whoa. DC? What is going on? Levy's let that pawn become a monster.
Yeah, this is not what you like to see.
Queen H. I guess Levy's idea is the queen h4.
Induce g3 and then take over the light squares.
Right.
Can you just develop your bishop?
Yeah, I think you should. What else is there to do? You don't want to give a check on a6 prematurely, because the king on d7 is quite safe.
Right. Although if the king comes to d7, you can now put a rook on d1.
Not that safe.
Yeah. So it says it's not hopeless for black, but the problem is coming up with an actual idea. Like, let's say the queens came off the board. Black is still worse because your pawn structure is terrible.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm just trying to help everybody when you think, how do I minimize the damage? You may think taking the queens off the board, it means that your king won't get checkmated, but the result of the queen trade is still not ideal for black.
And now queen a6 followed by rook 81 looks a lot more appetizing.
Yeah, looks very straightforward.
Queen a6 puts it in.
And rook d1, and then bishop c5.
Bang!
Crunch. Just ugh.
You don't get who I was imitating.
Mike Breen with a bang.
Yeah,
how could I possibly
rook on d1?
Yeah, how could I possibly not get what you were doing?
Right.
I just want you to leave Mike Breen alone.
No, I love Mike Breen.
Rook where?
d4.
And queen e5 g3, and you're threading this pawn e4. Yeah, this is
I feel like white can't fall asleep on her king, because black's bishops, bishop g4 to f3 potentially in some circumstances, but obviously with the king being on d7, none of this is really concerning.
Although bishop f3 is possible here. G takes, E takes, and with the queen trying to come to g2, it could cause some fear. And bishop f3 played.
I feel like given the level of desperation, Levy has to try this, and he does.
Yeah,
and what I would consider is just take on d6 at some point, eliminate that headache.
Oh, that's beautiful. You take away the bishop, then take, because if the queen takes, there's rook d1 with a pin. That's really nice.
And yeah, take on f3. Step 1 accomplished. And step 2 is the critical one. Get rid of that bishop. You can't even take back with the queen. And you can't take with a pawn because of queen b7.
EF, rook takes d6. It's not an easy move to play, though, because it's not backed up by anything, and black has 3 different ways to take it.
Whoa.
And he takes on after with the queen. He wants some kind of draw here.
But even that doesn't work because the king can escape through the center.
Right. King's running away. Rook takes d6.
Yeah, or just rook e d1 maybe to prepare rook takes d6.
I like it.
But then h4. Nemo.
Mm-hmm. You need to get a rook here.
That's a funny sound.
I was just enjoying her rook takes d6 sacrifice. If pawn takes, there's a queen b7. The king has to run to e6. Even knight takes e4 there.
Whoa!
Oh, goodness.
Sparta.
King's run to e7.
And then f7. I don't think there's any mate here. I just think Nemo's going to take all of his pawns.
Okay.
Convince c7 and
rook d7.
I would just go queen c7. 10 seconds for Nemo. It's not over. That queen on f3 could cause some problems.
She needs to move. She does it. And as you're saying, the queen venturing back here.
Just trade queens. That is by far the easiest, at least to me.
And rook to d7 first. Oh, no, the queen g4. There is no queen g3. So queen 4.
Why did you put that in there? Don't go rook d7.
Queen g3. The queen trade is unavoidable. Queen f4 now. She found it.
Stopped by Nemo, but she still has to demonstrate some technique. She's got 6 seconds.
And I put my knight on b5 into d6.
h4 by Levy. He's trying to drive that pawn up to h3. Nemo stopping it.
She's taking too much time. Knight b5 now. Knight b5.
Fork move.
Take this pawn.
Bishop e3. Great pre-move.
Yeah, she's doing well right now. Knight takes e4.
b2's hanging.
She goes back to b5. She's had that on lock. Now take on e4.
Oh, but now you can play knight b5. Rook
take
c2.
on e4.
Rook c2.
Okay, rook g4. Put your pieces on protected square.
Oh, no! Oh, he doesn't play it. What?
He didn't want to be down a pawn.
Levy should go rook e8 and rook a2 and threaten the bishop on e3. Oi!
Here comes.
Rook e3, rook e3. Woo!
Gosh!
Oi!
You said that and you saw from a mile away, and she walks into it.
I knew that was coming. Oh, Nemo's not taking the pawn.
Rook b4.
Oh no, she's losing the knight.
No.
Oh no. Oh my god.
Oh
no.
The one part in the game that I was saying she had good chances in, she completely collapsed.
That was a lock. And Nemo is. She's not happy.
Oh,
I don't blame her.
And you called
tilting another one.
You called that from so
Right.
far away. The rook on the second rank, rook e8 takes bishop.
I saw that trick and I could see that Nemo was just not playing confidently in the time scale. She was kind of going back and forth. She didn't have a clear sense of how she was going to win the game.
Yeah. And
Right. Bishop c4, and now she's tilting away another one.
don't take this pawn just yet. So you may think it's a free pawn, but then you walk into a pin.
Oh, but don't castle because of queen c5 check. Common blunder. Knight h6, and then Levy shouldn't castle. Watch this
Right.
happen.
No, there's no way he's castling.
I'm kidding. Of course, Levy sees it.
He'll play queen e2.
Right? The fact that he's thinking, it tells me that Levy immediately saw the trick.
Yeah. Plus, he doesn't like casting kingside. We've already seen him castle queenside.
Right.
And
Watch him play h4.
that would be absurd. Knight d5.
Oh, queen c5. He wants queen e2,
Mhm.
setting up massive threats along the e file.
And b4.
It's over.
Yeah, e4 is hanging, and if you play f5, there's b4, and the queen is going to struggle to keep this one defended. b4.
b4.
Queen d6,
Queen
bishop
d6.
b2, and bishop e5. Oh,
e4 by Levy.
wrong direction. Queen d6,
Right.
only move.
Okay, it's still very, very, very bad.
Yeah, but there's no knockout punch. So, like, if black is able to just complete her development, not easier said than done, but like c6, bishop e7, things like that, she's fighting on.
d4 was definitely an odd move by Levy. He could try, I don't know, bishop d2, bishop b4. But that doesn't really give anything. Just queen drops back to d8 and black can play c6.
Yeah, you might even lose a piece in that variation if you're not careful.
Hmm.
So he castles.
Wow, Levy
c6.
castles short.
He'll just bring his knight back. Queen takes d4. Yeah, you win a pawn, but it's too greedy. You have no development. So c6 played, and
Yeah, but taking on d4 just looks.
no.
Knight. What do you do though? Knight d7. Ugh.
Is there knight takes a
That's exactly what I'm thinking. And then even queen e4 there. Oh, knight f5 and queen e4 and knight
Yeah.
e7, bishop f7, knight e6. It's crushing. Levy though taking the solid approach. Now knight f6. And now black's in it.
And this is more or less what I was visualizing when I said that she saw a chance. It's obviously not good for black, but there's just no okay, bishop takes and queen b5 check.
And that's a pawn, but then black plays bishop d7. It's still bad though. White's knights are so good in this position.
They really are. And Levy takes.
Maybe the wrong pawn.
Takes bishop d6. Whoa! A surprise castle queenside, this time by Nemo.
What did you think she was going to do?
Bishop d6.
Oh. But what's the drawback of castling queenside? The eval bar hating that move.
Yeah, I don't have the exact answers. I could just see that the bar was not happy.
Let me tell you what the problem is. That knight on g5 is dominating over the entire kingside. It's not allowing the knight on h6 to move at all because of the fork. And it can't really be captured that easily. But Levy weakening his center a little bit.
So at some moment, bishop and bishop e7.
Bishop e7. Uh-oh, a5?
b5.
Bishop e3 now.
Oh gosh, you're lining up knight takes b6 and c5 stuff.
I'm lining up all sorts of shenanigans. Levy playing it immediately, rushing it. King c6.
Yeah.
He rushed it. Oh, then bishop rook a6. Uh-oh, now the king is
even material. It must be a completely drawish game, right?
But now the king is left all alone in a jungle without any equipment.
Oh gosh, here comes a mate. Bishop b5, bishop e3. Wait, bishop e3, king b4?
Somehow the king is safe. The rook on d8 covering squares along the d file. Knight e6, king b4.
Mm-hmm. Two
rooks. My
rooks.
lands. Wait up.
King there.
Don't go anywhere else.
No, do not. And king b4. Still a game.
Rook b6, I guess.
Rook b6, king a5.
Wow. And both rooks are suddenly hanging. Oh, and then bishop e3.
Oh, you're gonna try to checkmate me over there?
But I don't, because the king runs to a3.
She has rook bishop d2 check and rook
bishop d2 is deadly.
And have a king b3.
Knight d4.
Knight d4. Oh, you don't have king c2. I almost made a lead.
You do have king c4.
But
this is unbelievable. This is actually an insane game. So king c4.
King c4. There's got to be some kind of checkmate here, right?
Rook d6. Rook c. Oh, rook c1. Rook c6. Oh my God. Oh my Glenn. But king d3. And then still rook d6 maybe.
Wow. Rook c1, king your rook d6 check and mate in the center of the board.
He finds it. Wow.
So king d3.
No, Nemo. What was she thinking?
I think she just had enough.
Right. I can't really blame her for that. And this match is spinning out of control for Nemo.
Dang, that king went on a walk on the wild side.
And it almost survived up until the very end. Levy, rook c1, though. That was a clutch move.
Yeah, it was a nice find because the advantage could have completely slipped. Like if he traded rooks there, black would have been better because of king activity.
Wow. It's a 9-point lead. He's blown open the doors. 8 minutes left in the 3+1 segment. We have 25 minutes of bullet after this.
And I mean, the eval bar's bench pressing right now, going up and down. I don't even know what's happening here.
Boom,
Bishop
reps.
b5, knight e5 type of ideas. She plays rook f1. But bishop
Castle
b5.
queenside, I guess.
And oh my gosh, like bishop b5 then?
Knight b4? Oh, you take with check. Oh my God. I've had a long day.
No, you said that. I was like, wow, Donnie, I completely missed that idea. And then I was like,
that's an amazing idea.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that's going to work out for you, buddy.
Even queen a4 probably does the trick, but
Yeah, it's a very interesting position. And Levy is starting to think here. He was f6, just taking away that e5 square, preemptive move.
Sven Beingold, not too happy.
Oh, she's playing greedy chess right now. Give me that pawn. Can you take it?
I don't see why not. That's a perfectly good grilled pawn, medium well.
What
about takes in g5 with the idea of bishop d6?
Oh,
h3.
You can also play g5, g4 and win the h2 pawn.
Right, and if you play h3, the knight on g3 loses its support. So
what if after
bishop e7 to d6?
Here, g5 of d5.
Mean man.
It's just complicated.
This might happen.
And f5 played, knight takes f5.
Knight f5.
Rook
what a
h7.
tactic. And she saw it instantly. What was this?
And look at Levy. He's like, yeah, I missed that. Good find by you. And now it's 2 extra pawns for Nemo.
Whoopsie daisy. And she has to convert this.
95?
Match not over. There is enough time to play 9 games, but she's going to have to start winning. She's going to have to win the last 2 games of the 3-minute portion.
Yeah.
For starters.
And Levy, as is typical in these SEC formats, you don't just resign. He's down 2 pawns. He obviously still has a chance, but look at the match clock, right? He wants the fewer games that remain, the better for him and his chance of winning. Although at this point in time, he started as the heavy favorite and he's just with a 9-point lead.
I feel like we're going to see adventures in this game.
Adventures with pawns in the center?
I don't know. I'm just getting a sense.
Your spidey senses are tingling.
Yeah, I mean, Levy has the 2 bishops. He has the possibility of going c5.
And he makes use of that possibility.
Nemo has to be a little bit precise here.
E5, bishop e4 is what my first thought would be. Let's just trade some pieces. Although that does give that knight access to the c4 square. She's thinking. She takes. And now the semi-open b file, if you get a rook there, gives black some hope. But how to get a rook there is an entirely different question.
I'm thinking about e5 here and bishop e4, but bishop a6 you're indicating takes the sting out of the position as well. Nemo shifting her queen to e2.
She wants to control this diagonal here. Probably.
King 8. Okay.
C7. So bishop a6. I would just try to get pieces off the board.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make some progress eventually. Nemo kind of going with that, but dropping her bishop back a little bit passive. Bishop a6 is a threat. And bishop takes e3 as well.
This has been something she's done throughout the day, right? She just sometimes isn't going forward. She's playing a little bit too worried.
Bishop d3, though. I think
rook,
still holds everything together.
Rook d3, and you can't put more pressure on the pin piece because that's rook d. You can take that with check.
So Levy might have to trade on d3 and drop his bishop back to e7. It's not the end of the world for him.
It's not good, though. I would actually maybe just take and after rook d3, then just move my bishop.
Oh, but now the pawn blocks both of the minors.
Right. And you could have taken after cd, played queen e5 check, but this is way smarter. As you said, this pawn c4 is bad for black.
And Nemo probably will trade on d8 and go rook d1.
Swap everything.
Why not? Just don't go like king a1 and walk into knight b3 check.
Oh my gosh. I mean, knight b3 might be an idea regardless of where the king is, but with the rooks being traded, you just don't have enough firepower for black.
No, Levy should probably keep the rook on the board with rook c8, but then white's rook might infiltrate to d7.
Yikes. And Nemo doing plenty well on the clock, rook d7, as you suggested.
Go forward, not back.
30 plus seconds for her still. But she's spending quite a bit of time at this moment.
Yeah, you never know what can happen here. Knight b3, bishop a3. She's still thinking. 20 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
Knight b3 could be a very serious. Even now.
Knight b3.
Oh my God, that gets scary. Although the king can run to c1 and then the bishop from e4 could block to b1, but Levy plays it and queen a5 check next.
This is really bad news for her.
Queen a5. Uh-oh.
Take. And with this king c1, bishop b1. But
that's exactly what I was saying.
Oh gosh, that's fortunate.
So Nemo has to not panic here.
It's just queen d7. Oh, check.
Bishop e3 in the end.
And there's also bishop a3 ideas.
Oh my god, if white's knight is on
King
my
c1.
goodness.
Knight
Bishop
d2.
E3, wrong way. Queen a1 and bishop a3 was right.
Yeah.
Now queen d6. Queen d6 is a devastating threat.
Just hitting everything.
Oh, bishop c5 back maybe?
Then queen c6.
Yeah, Levy was hasty there. He got excited.
And it seems like Nemo has everything covered. Bishop b1.
Forced. Rook c8, queen d6.
Okay. Maybe bring this knight somewhere. Knight oh my gosh.
The bishop's not hanging. I thought it was. Oh,
queen
rook c3.
Queen a3, rook c3. Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, he was me. Oh, no. Oh, no. Queen a3.
Wait, how did she?
Oh.
And she pre-moved bc3, so she saw it coming, but I guess she didn't quite.
But even queen c3 was made.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I guess she didn't quite see it was checkmate because she saw rook c3 was about to happen.
Oh my god. I don't know why I put this into Levy's mind, the knight b3 idea.
Here, let's go back and pull that game up just to show those final moments again, because at this point in time, white is up a piece, but you have to look out for black's threats. Rook takes c3. This king doesn't have moves, so that's going to be a checkmate. So bringing the knight to e4 was what I was suggesting. It defends the c3 pawn. It reinforces the knight on d2, and that way you're feeling much more comfortable.
Or queen b4, by the way, and just eliminate the cancer on b3.
Yeah. Oh, the queen before, there might be bishop d3. You get rid of one issue and then walk into another.
This loses. Oh my god, what is going on?
Wow, it's just a wild position.
94 only move.
Yeah, and then next you might even be able to play queen a3 to trade those queens.
Right. Incredible.
But that's neither here nor there now, because we are in to the next game of the match. Levy up 12-2. And from the white side here, Danya, this bishop on b2, excellent piece. These pawn on c6, d6, not great.
This is going to be the last game of the 3-minute portion. Time is ticking down. And Levy with another excellent position out of the opening.
Yeah, knight e2 though will be by knight h5, but otherwise this would just be devastation for black.
Yep.
Ugh. This pawn can't move to d5 ever. It's a Moroxy bind style position, and white can increase the pressure.
If you go back to move 4 really quickly, just to tack on to your idea, 2 passive, right? The move d6, needlessly blocking in the dark squared bishop c5 or bishop b4 check, gives black an excellent position.
Right.
That set the tone.
No reason to play d6. It's just too quiet, and you get the worst pawn structure. And look at these passive bishops.
That's not our style.
And look at white's bishops, just full length of the board. And so as we get to the current position, yeah, very passive for black.
Right, and it's just not her style. I don't know why Nemo is sort of holding herself back. You can't go f5 now because c6 would have hung in the end. Bishop f6 is a nice move.
Right.
Oh, and that was the d4 square.
Yeah, e5 would not be a good move now because just pawn takes e5, c6 would become defended, and knight e6 to d4 is what you're pointing out.
Bingo.
Knight e6, rook takes d6, knight takes f4. Does that possibly work?
Queen d2. You go back to e6.
Okay. She settles for queen e7. She wants that knight into d4.
And if you go f5, obviously you create a hole on e5.
Right. So knight e6, knight e2.
Here comes the sun.
Are you singing to me? No.
No, that was an abortive effort.
Okay, I thought you were
quote the Beatles.
Yeah, I thought you were saying it's all right. Okay, this pawn is hanging, but then d6 hangs at the end.
Yeah, it's been a hard day's night for Nemo.
What about d5?
The yellow submarine. Yellow submarine. The yellow submarine.
You're gonna start singing Yesterday next? I don't know. Oh, f5 played.
I only think I'll start singing Yesterday when I'm 64.
Got it. When it feels so far away. So
right.
ef, queen e3 check, just a single check. The king can go back, and e5 played. So pawn takes. We might see some swaps. What's going on here, Danya?
She can't buy a single win here. Can't buy me love. Can't buy me a win. And White's going to buy that C6 pawn pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm glad that she can't buy a win because that would be bribery and that would be a problem. The chess world doesn't need that drama.
And the knight on C7 is like a fool on the hill.
I'm trying to say something positive about that knight because I didn't appreciate your attitude, but yeah,
I don't appreciate your face. So.
An ineffective insult at this point.
I agree. Okay, knight A4. Knight A4, yeah?
2 pawns at once. How do you defend them both? You don't?
You don't, but you go knight E6 and G5. You got to try to create king side. And these are the representative moments where Nemo, I think, hasn't acted sufficiently decisively, right? Knight E6, G5 has to be played in 3 seconds.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Hasn't happened. I think for many players, and knight E6 step 1, queen takes C6 is going to happen, and then G5. She doesn't really have a choice. Oh, nice move by Levy.
Sorry, continue.
No. This actually is a great illustration of what I was going to say, is that winning a pawn isn't the end of the game. And so Levy recognized this not worth allowing G5 cracking open the position. So he just instead plays H4 to stop that move, brings his knight into the blockading square. Oh my gosh, now there's never G5.
No. That's a very bad move. And now A5, that's a good move. Nemo trying to create counterplay on the queen side.
Levy, great awareness. This might just be a draw objectively, but in a blitz game, anything can happen.
I think in a blitz game, I mean, it depends on how ambitious Levy is. He could eventually try to prepare A3, B4. I don't think he will.
Yeah, seems unlikely. Is there a surprise opportunity to like take on C5, take on D4, get a rook to D6? Probably not.
Absolutely. Maybe move the king away first. So there's no D4 with check.
Exactly. Run the king this way and try something like that. Okay, spying over here. Ooh, I don't think there's a sacrifice, but you have to keep an eye out for it.
No, siree. I feel like Levy might get ambitious and go A3.
That just feels like a bad move.
I agree.
So he can just walk the king over to H2 where it's safer, but maybe not as prepared for an end game, but the position is completely locked up.
Yeah, and this is evidenced by Nemo's last few moves. Levy goes for it, he pulls the trigger.
He does, but his king need to be over here.
Yeah, there was no, okay, but knight E6, rook D6, again, too passive by Nemo.
She, instead of hopping forward, she just tends to hop back.
And still black is better without question. C5, knight D4, you're indicating?
Yeah, and there is
C5, queen D5?
Okay, so queen B6, but where to next? Rook E7, just defending the 7th rank.
Queen C3 by Levy, queen B4.
Nice move.
Rook C6,
oh, that, I guess not so nice, that pawn hang. I thought that C5 was going to happen for black.
Don't go rook D2, rook A2 because of rook E6.
Oh.
Don't go rook A2.
Because oh my gosh!
Oh my god! Oh! Rook E6.
Yep, tactic.
It's still bad though. C5 and king D3, king C4.
Yeah, here it comes.
And Nemo just in time.
Yeah, king to D5.
E6, go! No!
Oh, too passive.
Again, too passive. And don't go king D7 because of E6. Oh, and she's going to lose G6 and she's going to lose the game.
This has been a theme, right? She just tends to take the passive approach.
Oh, rook D6 even, or king C4.
She's going to have to go rook D1.
Oh, Levy's going to flag.
He got surprisingly close there. King F7. Oh, she pre-moved king F7.
All of the pawns are falling. Look at this. King B4, another one. Oh, rook H8. Rook H8.
His mate.
This is also good. Rook B7. The knight has no squares.
Oh, and the fork.
Oh, and another one bites the dust for Nemo.
Done. Yeah, so this game,
right.
She just chooses passivity over the active play. I mean, we just go back to that moment quickly here. Once the knight was sacrificed, which is what I was calling for, knight E4 comes with check, which is why the king should already be away from the center. And she went back and then continued to, she made queen to B4. I understand that impulse. You don't have much time left, but once the queen should happen, she drops another pawn.
Indeed, and Levy with a cool tactical opportunity to play rook takes c6, but even the way he played was effective enough. He has blown open the doors on this match. 15 games played. It's an 11-point lead. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a 25-minute bullet segment coming up, so don't go anywhere. There's more chess to be played in this, the inaugural match of the IM, not a GM, SCC. We will be back in a couple of minutes with the final segment from Levy Rozman's match against Nemo Zhou. We're watching the first I Am Not a GM Speed Chess Championship match between Levy and Nemo. Levy with an 11-point lead going into the final bullet segment. Grandmaster Robert Hess alongside me today. Robert, Nemo needs nothing short of a miracle. She needs to be perfect in these 25 minutes of 1+1.
She needs to be perfect. She needs to spend 0 time while being perfect. That sounds like, let me do the math on that, an impossibility. But Nemo, I think, will slice into the lead a bit. She's been playing a lot of bullet chess recently on stream. I think her highest bullet rating was over 2,600. So she has a chance, but look at Levy's rating, 2,700 plus. I don't know. It's going to be all Levy again, isn't it?
It feels that way. And I think you called it pretty early. The main culprit for Nemo, there has been a couple of areas where Levy has just outplayed her, but the passive play, Robert, especially in the opening and the early middle game, Nemo just not really playing her style. And she's repeating a line that they've now had several times, an early end game, and another good position for Levy right out of the opening.
Yeah, I really don't like the queen trade. I would have preferred to keep the queens on the board and try to exploit some of these weaknesses. But right now, Levy is everything under control. Yeah, I really like Levy's position.
Knight A5 followed by C5. Oh, I bit my tongue. Ouch.
You okay there?
Queen side. Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but
okay. I thought the cat got your tongue for a second.
What about B3 here?
B3, then rook to A1, just to keep your knight under threat.
I guess would you play B3? Ooh, Bishop C7.
Bishop C7.
Oh my God, Nemo has to take the free stuff.
Bishop
D2 and
D2.
C4.
For sure. And knight B7. Levy, of course, saw his knight was going to be hanging over there. Still difficult to play this for black. This pawn on B3 is about to drop.
And Nemo, look at the speed with which she's been playing. She has spent 9 seconds. Where was this the entire match?
She can really play some bullet. E6 drops, but then rook E8.
B3 and you drops, knight C5.
Okay, take, and down goes that pawn.
But down goes E6. And down goes C3. Down goes A6.
Then down goes B4.
Then down goes nothing else because black has equalized the material and threatens mate on B1.
Yeah, this is looking better and better for Levy. He is able to escape what was a tough position. Rook takes B4 here. You have to create some love for the king.
Okay.
The rook's under attack. I completely missed that the rook was under attack.
Do you need to be demoted to the FM title? Because
you've done that once to me today.
Exactly. Well, we might do it again.
Okay. Knight D5. Weird position.
Yes.
Rook C1. Knight
Rook
A2.
F2. Rook F2.
Yeah, but you take an extra pawn. Okay, theoretically drawn position.
Down goes F3.
It's a very passive position for white.
I feel like Levy's going to get the better of this.
Knight D4.
Rook C7. Okay, come on, Nemo has to take C7.
Knight check.
Knight E5.
Oh.
Knight G4 is a threat.
And now it's a winning ending. Rook F3 after King H3 and then F4. Although that might allow... G5, G4. It's mate.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, no, you didn't.
King G6. King F6.
And G5.
Well, Rook D6 check only move. Rook G6 or King E5.
Oh.
Levy G4? I think there was a chance if you played G4.
Rook G4 check, F G4 mate.
Oh, now there's no G4. Okay.
This position is still some chances.
She's holding really well for the moment.
I feel like somebody's going to blunder the rook. I don't know. I'm getting a sense.
H4.
H4 nice, by Levy. Good stuff.
Nicely done. She's going to have to push this pawn, but it's too late. King G4. Okay.
Push.
Push. Rook D3. Rook check.
They push the pawn, but King F3. It's winning, yes. And this is a classic method, right? The king hides behind the umbrella of the pawns.
Mm-hmm.
And F2 check wins the game. Rook E6 and black
6 and promotion.
King F1, the rook is might.
And Levy takes that game. Nicely done in what looked like it was about to be an even end game. Rook, knight, and 4. Rook, knight, and 4. He spotted the tactics to win a pawn.
Good stuff by Levy and Italiano with knight f6, castles, the max laying attack, knight e4, d4.
I wanted a fried liver.
Passive, Robert. Passive, passive, passive. This is not Nemo style.
No. And if knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, bishop takes, it's okay for black. It just doesn't seem what she's aiming for. Retreat, don't play g5. Probably too accommodating, but maybe you can get away with it. And there she goes, queen e7.
Knight c3 could be met with c6, restricting the knight, a la Hess.
And bishop g4 will be a move to throw in. That way you can eventually get knight to h5. Oh,
tricky little move, bishop c5, pinning the f on Levy, though.
But still bishop g4.
Was not born yesterday. And then knight h5 could come at some point.
That's right. Oh, where's that bishop going?
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Just do it. Do it live. Bishop f2 at some point, hitting a7. It's not going to be so fun. b4. And then bishop f2, bishop
play
f5.
us out to do the show. b5 on Passan. And now b5 is threatened once again.
And if bishop f2, still b5, bishop c5, because at the end of it, you have 2 minor pieces threatened.
Leviathan going knight b2 and knight d3 potentially.
Leviathan.
Yeah, it's short. Levy is short for Leviathan. Leviathan Rozman.
Wingardium Levy Rozman. That was the thing a couple years back.
Wait,
bishop... What? You know Harry Potter?
Wingardium?
What's the spell?
No, I know Harry Potter. I've never read the books, but I watched the movies.
So what's the spell that involves Leviosa?
Expelliarmus.
No, Wingardium Leviosa.
What does that do, though? What does that spell do, Mr. Snape? Severus Hess.
I'm just so disappointed.
You need to educate me in your ways, you know.
I shouldn't have to educate you in front of thousands and thousands of people about Harry Potter spells. It causes people to levitate.
That wasn't a pun. That's actually what it does.
Yeah, it is a pun, and it causes people to levitate.
All right. Okay, Mr. McGonagall. Thank you for letting me know. That wasn't so hard, was it?
It was difficult because you don't know anything. You know all this chess, but none of the pop culture references. I need a new co-commentator, but I think
let me ask you. How about I ask you about some world capitals? Knight takes g2, by the way. There.
That's an interesting tactic. Knight f5.
What's the capital of Guinea-Bissau? Oh, knight f5 wins the queen. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, it does it. Oh, knight f5, king f6.
Yeah, you have king.
What was that? What?
What was that?
What bishop before?
I think she thought she was going to lose her
but
queen.
Why did Levy not take and go queen d7?
I mean, this is still winning.
Oh my God, no. Oh yeah, no, Levy's up a piece.
Wait, what is this? Bishop is terrible.
No longer.
Okay, knight c6. This.
Oh, bishop b4. Oh, Nemo's taking all his pawns.
Wait a second. What's happening here?
Knight c7.
Boop, boop, boop.
Boop, boop, king f3 winning g3, and black is playing for a win potentially.
Yeah, for sure. e4.
King g2, king g2.
Oh my gosh, the bishop's trapped.
The bishop.
That's brutal. King g2.
Oh my God, king g2 wins the bishop. Why is she not doing knight?
No.
Oh, why nothing is being captured here at all?
King f1. Okay. King g2.
Oh, g4. Oh my God, Levy might be playing for a win.
What is happening? Black won.
That was might be the craziest bullet sequence I've ever seen.
Play g7. Just throw in g7.
Don't stalemate, Nemo. Don't pre-move.
Oh, the queen was in the perfect spot. She has so much time left.
Yeah, this is over. Boom. Oh, my lands. What a game. How did Levy not win?
That was... It's late in the match, Tanya. Let's sum it up like that.
It is late in the match. We've got 16 minutes to go. A Caro-Kann for the first time this match.
Levy's patented opening. And hey, it's Nemo's turn to throw up the kingside pawns.
Expelliarmus.
And c5 just trying to break down the center. Yeah.
CD, bishop g4.
Uh-oh. You spotted the tactic.
CDC does not recommend giving up your G4 pawn this early in the game.
No. An F3, not a move that you enjoy playing after giving away a pawn, because look at this F5 square.
Blah.
Ugh. Bad piece. Should have taken the knight.
Oh my lands. Black doing well here once again.
And Levy knows these Karakhan's. I mean, he's up a pawn. But, winning a piece. Even without being up that pawn initially, I was going to say Levy knows the Karakhan structures inside and out.
He does.
But it's nice when you get to steal a pawn in G4 first.
Oh, Levy's openings are actually quite fearsome. And the first bone cloud of the night. Oh, no.
So Levy's trying not to laugh. You saw he put his sweatshirt over his mouth. I think that when somebody plays the Bon Cloud, you kind of have to play it back, because otherwise, when you win, you're like, oh, they played the Bon Cloud. If you lose, it's embarrassing. So you might as well just play King D7.
No, that's absolutely. I actually made that point. I think in the Magnus DiCaro game. The thing is, somebody like Magnus, if he loses in a Bon Cloud, will never ever live it down.
Right.
Ever. So it's just the best insurance policy for your reputation to respond with the Bon Cloud.
Exactly. Because as we know, losing one blitz game of chess against the Bon Cloud means you're a terrible chess player. That's obviously how that goes.
And now we invite a British professor to comment on how disrespectful. It's just it's totally disrespectful. This entire this new generation that's playing the Bon Cloud, and it's just absolutely appalling.
Is this something new that you're working on? I'm trying to place this.
Well, I'm sure you know what I mean, like the BBC professor, who has that like fashionable, like that. I don't know how to describe it. There's a certain way of talking, like it's a king, it's classical idea of this Bon Cloud is honestly okay. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just need to stop.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean, right?
I do vaguely get what you're talking about.
Which I did with Ludwig and Charlie, where we did this the entire time.
I'm so glad I missed that stream. Sorry, go ahead.
No, we were like, of course, yes, of course. Anyways, I don't know what I'm talking about, why I even have this job.
That's a great question. Can you work on your David Attenborough impression? Oh, that's
David Attenborough. See, that's a great example of. Oh, how about taking E4?
Yeah, that's. How many extra pawns? 2 extra pawns for black?
Okay, I'll stop chat. Bishop E7, knight F4, attacking G6, a good creative move, but F5.
Yeah, because otherwise the bishop is loose. Rook H6 also defends that pawn.
Chad is just secretly jealous of my impersonations.
I believe that. And that was me saying that sincerely. Where's the attack for white? Is it coming with G4?
You're asking questions that I have no answer to.
5 seconds for Nemo.
Oh, G4. Here comes Levy opening of the files. Queen E4 and G5.
Just bring the king back. H5. Trying to get the
G8. G5, Queen G6.
I almost want to take on G5, but she plays as well.
Bishop H5, copium.
Oh,
no, 95. No. Oh my God, how many times? 95 and rook.
Bishop 5.
Oh, it wins the queen.
Oh my gosh.
Or no, it doesn't. Queen B3.
Yeah, but take on E5 then.
Oh, and it's completely winning, and white structure collapses.
Wow, turned around.
Oh, rook H4. Even better.
With sound effects.
Queen E6 though.
Rook E5. Oh, the rook G1.
Uh-oh.
Don't play queen F7. Okay, good. Queen G6, lining it up.
Make a move.
Oh my gosh. 1 second.
Oh my God.
Just go.
Oh my God. She's literally done. 0.2 seconds. Rook G2. Rook G2.
Yeah, Queen G2.
Queen G1.
Queen G2.
Rook E3, Queen G2, Rook G2, and King H5, and Queen F5, and it's me.
Done.
Bang. That's how Nemo plays. That's her style.
My goodness. And that was a double Bon Cloud. I thought Nemo was going to do a Bon Cloud.
No, she has to reciprocate. And another Schliemann. It's funny, the 180, they go from a Bon Cloud to like a very professional, conventional opening.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. And this back is in castle, rook E1, rook E8. This was not good. She played A4, and after Queen E5,
they're repeating to the letter a line that they had previously.
Oh, but the h5 pawn wasn't there because Levy gone queen e5, excuse me. So rook a4? Can you win that pawn?
Whoa, look at you. Maybe rook h6 then and rook e6. But white takes and goes d3.
Oh my goodness, she's sending it. G3.
b5 win here.
And then b6. Those kind of attacks are always fun.
Canty style.
Bishop a3, just throw your bishop over here and hope.
Queen e5.
Oh, of course, that's a good move.
Centralize the queen, but queen g5.
Oh, watch out for this. Don't allow queen a7.
And Levy on top here of the threats.
But knight a4 to c5 and try to take...
d4. Don't en passant.
No.
Bishop h6.
Queen.
And e3.
Oh, goodness. e3.
Oh, God.
e3 still?
Absolutely. Exposing weaknesses in white's king side. Even if white plays f3. Oh.
I'm just
Bishop
looking
c4 almost works.
I think it does. Queen g4 at the end?
Oh, there's too many entry points, is there? Queen f3 and queen e4 both threatened.
Right.
What an attack by Levy.
And he's trying to be precise. He goes queen f5, similar idea. 2 squares available for, and f2. Jeez.
You just can't stop both. You can't cover e4 and f3 at the same time.
And that is checkmate.
Queen e4. That was a nice game.
It was. I think that Nemo should not play the white side of that position anymore.
Nope.
Wait, Nemo's playing the Scandi now?
Afraid soul, chap. Oh, okay. I see where this is going, hoping for a pre-move.
Yeah. Knight d7. Oh, wow. Nemo's giving up the pawn and just playing in this style.
But
doesn't
white
look good.
BC. Bishop c5, though, quickly stopping white from castling. That might be the way to play this.
Yeah, that pawn f3 wishes it could go back. Hasn't Nemo had the white side of positions like this a bunch of times today?
Yep, she has had the Hassan of these side of positions. Did you get the reference?
Yeah, I saw on white side, but I looked at you with just...
With anger and malice in your eyes.
Yeah, and in my heart. Okay.
And in your soul.
So a trade opens up the e5, knight e4, knight d5, then this pawn's hanging on d4.
So is b2, but taking on b2 does simply allow white to castle. Oh, and knight d6 becomes a threat. This is getting scary for black. Nemo's underdeveloped here.
Yeah, looking suspicious. And d4's hanging. If you take on e4, f takes. And, oh, goodness.
Uh-oh, and here comes knight d6. Buckle up. It's going to be a massacre here.
Yeah, here come... And the second knight can take here if everything weren't already hanging. You lose material.
Imagine all the pawns that black is going to lose. I can't say there will be a smothered mate, but I'm not the only one. Okay, anyways, I will stop there.
And I don't think Levy's going to stop there. He's on a winning streak. He's enjoying this match. Although, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to make a point that queen a5 check, a lot of people think wins a piece, but it doesn't because of knight b1 to c3. Sorry.
No, that's a very good point, actually. And also people might think you could take this pawn, but you have to remember that your knight is pinned. So that would just lose a piece.
But people might also think that you can trust Robert Hess. So people make a lot of mistakes on a regular basis.
People really do. They really, really do. Queen on d4, protecting everything.
And this is a classic type of compensation where black gets very dynamic center. The idea of going f7, f6 eventually.
Like now?
Or not right now.
c3.
Bishop takes d7 could be considered by Nemo because now fe. Oh, and knight e5 and bishop d6.
Just knight e5. Yeah. Oof.
Bishop d6.
Queen h5. The c3 pawn is hanging.
Everything is falling apart here. h2 hangs.
I think you have to. No, but then there's bishop f4. Like taking bishop f4. No.
Yeah, even c3. Not the right pawn to give away.
Everything is loose. Maybe it's knight f3. There are some chances over here.
I would go with a solid move like Queen F6. But Levy.
And Bishop D3.
Get them in some DoorDash.
Uh-oh. Bishop D3. No. Bishop D3 and Queen G6. Infiltrate.
Now that bishop is stuck in quicksand and Black's rook can join the party with rook AF7 potentially. Queen F4.
Yeah, Queen F4 looks really good. Defending the king side.
Maybe just Knight G5 should be tried, but whoa.
Think what? Oh. What?
Whoa, oh, Queen D5 and the rook on A2 hangs.
Wow, she saw that so fast. I didn't even see what was capital pawn on
what's
B6.
More impressive is that she set it up with rook takes B6. She's had flashes of brilliance this match, but they've been just too few and far between. But amazing there. And Queen C5 taking the right bishop.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my lands. This is an incredible sequence by Nemo. Can she finish this one off?
Okay, bishop G4 is Queen D5. Knight G5.
Oh, rook E6. No, it's a free bishop.
Oh, wait, it's been no back rank mate? Oh, this
No, because rook E1.
Yeah. Just give your king some space.
And H4. Jesus.
Queen F4, G3. Okay, she's thinking. Go G.
Oh. Okay.
Playing with a little bit of fire.
Levy, though, he's about to flag.
95. Okay, rook E7, trade queens.
Trade the queens and rook E6.
Yeah, this is. Although she. I'm screaming on her behalf. It just hurts so much. And she's smiling.
I thought something like that might happen, but you can't pre-move in those situations. Oh my goodness. Oh no. And it still might be a draw.
Nah.
Okay. King F4, yeah. Oh, King E3. Goodbye.
I'm going to show that again. That was a very well done bullet scramble by Levy because he was completely lost. So he figured, all right, if I'm going to lose, I might as well try my one last thing here. Rook D1.
Oh.
Putting the rooks in line with one another.
Wait, let me grab something from my shelf. Do you know what I'm getting?
Maybe a shot glass?
No.
But
Hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer?
Yep.
Why?
Because of how dirty that was.
Oh, okay.
And
so nobody can see
the same
that
thing
bad.
every game.
Yeah, that was dirty. And expecting the pre-move, so putting the rooks in contact. Obviously, rook takes D1's a free rook, but when you're pre-moving, you're not looking at the board, and Levy scoops up the rook and wins the game.
Oh, my lands.
And what's happening in this game? Uh-oh. At some point, that queen is going to infiltrate.
Queen C7 doesn't create a threat immediately, but it's a very nasty move to face. And I would go bishop F3 and rook H1, rook H7.
And here it comes.
No, this is bad.
There's one open file and white controls it, and just park that rook on H7.
24-hour free parking there.
I don't know where you live, but...
no street cleaning.
Well, I actually do know where you live. But
Charlotte has free parking on Fridays evenings, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Knight F3 takes G5.
Oh, wrong way. A little too passive there.
Yeah, that knight go back, and go there.
But don't take B5 because if bishop takes E6. Okay,
very good point.
Because if A takes B5. Oh, but now E4 and she's given up the C4 square and the E4 square.
And this bishop is terrible.
Yes, it is. King B2, King B3, King C4. Oh! I don't know if this is good or bad. Black's king can get to F5.
And here it comes. King E6, King F5.
Rook C8, great move. Rook F7. Rook F7.
Oh,
no, but King F7 and then Black takes G5 in the end.
But then you start taking all this stuff. I don't know who benefits more.
Rook C2.
Is there...
Oh, Levy.
Yeah.
Right? Is that right?
Yeah, check.
You gotta make the sound after Levy takes F7.
Yeah. Zoop.
Zoop.
Oh gosh, these pawns are toast here. Bishop f6, rook f7.
I'm just waiting for it. I wonder when you're going to do it. At which pawn?
Oh gosh.
King d5.
Is there a checkmate? Rook g5?
No, rook king f4 always.
Yeah, and the bishop covers. So let's just promote the pawn. b6.
d6, not a bad idea.
Yeah, don't mind if you do. Okay, knight c5 defending.
This will be the last game of the match, ladies and gentlemen.
Unless it ends in the next 2 seconds. No.
Which it isn't.
And b7, and that is game.
Although takes bishop e3. Oh, but then the a pawn rumbles forward.
Yes, and there's a very quick path for it. There's no stopping it.
Leered for takeoff.
There
That
it
is
goes.
all she wrote.
And that's 19-4 final score in Levy Rozman's favor.
A wire-to-wire victory. It started from the very first game in the 5-minute portion. Levy just better on all fronts. Nemo, she had flashes. She had individual games that were very well played. But Robert, at the end of the day, Levy was incredibly solid today.
He was. And I actually thought he picked it up as the match went on. It's weird to say when he was out to a 6-1 lead, but there were some critical moments. I thought he was playing really great chess and doing the right thing. Even in that bullet scramble towards the end, when he played rook to d1, he was making the most of his chances, and he's a deserved winner.
He absolutely is. He wins the match by 15 points. We are going to go on a short break. When we come back, we will have the man himself, Levy Rozman, here for an interview. So do not go anywhere. The broadcast continues. You're watching the I Am Not a GM Speed Chess Championship. We'll have the victor of the inaugural match, I Am Levy Rozman, here on the other side of this short break. Welcome back to the I Am Not a GM Speed Chess Championship. The inaugural match has concluded. We have the players here for an interview. I am Levy Rozman and WGM Nemo. Levy, I'll start with you. Congratulations on an excellent match. Could you share your thoughts about the match overall? And could you share the moments, the standout moments you thought when you started feeling like the match was in the bag?
First of all, obviously GG's. Also, second of all, as I told you guys offline, I was really hoping you were the commentators today. So, GOAT commentary duo. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at Nemo's openings before the match, and so she has the playing style, which is the worst for me, which is play the same openings every game and bore me to death, and I'll do something stupid. So I tried to like keep myself subdued and mostly go for lines that are not like too dumb until at least the bullet. I also had a feeling she would have prepared the Caro Kann, so I just didn't play it to frustrate her. Hopefully that paid off. And
that
yeah, I don't know.
It did. I was very frustrated.
It was definitely good. I won the first or second 5-1 game because they were way too close, like in time scrambles, and my hand was shaking and it was real bad. But once you like win a game or two, you kind of you keep moving.
Yeah, and Nemo, on your end, I mean, early on, Levy did win the first 3 games, but as he said, there came down to a few time scrambles there where you both had chances. So did you feel like, you know, if you could do this match over, those early games, if you could have scored some of those victories, that would have changed things?
Honestly, I think it wouldn't have. I think the outcome of the match could have been closer if I had done a little bit better in a lot of the situations where, like, as you said, the time scramble situations, but Levy is super resourceful, and I am playing the match expecting to go into those positions, and I just have to kind of do my best. Like, looking at Levy's games, he's always so ready to go into, you know, bullet scrambles and all of that stuff. So although it looks close, I was expecting to like still fail a couple of those, which ended up happening. And I was like, okay, that happened.
Levy, you decided not to stream today's match for maximum focus, I assume.
No, actually, I didn't stream because I thought it was not allowed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just showed up, and he was like, "Oh, Nemo's streaming," and I pulled out the rule book not let her stream, but because I was like, "Wait, I'm pretty sure they said but whatever, I can't read. All I can do is make chess videos." So.
What is it like to play off stream? Do you feel like it's not habitual? Do you have the tendency to, you know, where's chat, and then you realize that you're not actually streaming? What is that like now that you're as experienced and habitual as you are?
I hate playing in silence. Actually, I'm definitely going to stream the other matches. I'm the type of person, like, if I'm left alone, my brain will go completely haywire, and at least this way I'm still like focusing on something, but I'm still totally silent. So I think if you add the fact that I can at least like talk my moves out, it will be a lot easier. I'm significantly worse when I sit here just totally quiet, and then, you know, that's probably like the worst playing conditions for me possible.
That's kind of fascinating. Nemo, are you the same way, or do you feel like streaming helps you, or that, you know, the peace and quiet is best for your chess?
Honestly, I think peace and quiet is best for my chess. I didn't really like talk to stream or look at stream, but there are also times when I'm completely just like vibing and reading chat and, aw, Benji.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He doesn't have to hijack the interview. He's just, I'm really tired of him eating like my legs. So, please proceed with questioning.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's weird. Like, I've talked with my sports psychologist about this. There's a lot of like times when, you know, there's an optimal amount of stress and an optimal amount of like vibes and whatnot. And sometimes I feel like when I was playing today, I was a little bit too stressed, especially like the time scrambles where I was up on position. I could literally feel my heart rate rising and being like, oh, fuck, I got to win these games. And then obviously when you're like in a better position and it doesn't go exactly your way, you get so frustrated. So I don't know. I feel like I usually play better without talking though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nemo, of course, you're unfortunately out of the I Am Not a GM, but you've got a very exciting event coming up this summer. If my information is correct, you'll be representing the Canadian women's team at the Olympiad this summer. That is correct, right?
So actually, I misread the email. and I'm only on the candidate list, so I am supposed to be the
Okay.
top 5. But I think it comes out tomorrow, so I assume I'm on
man.
it. I just haven't.
Are you nervous to find out?
I'm honestly not, because if I don't qualify, I'm just gonna play more poker. So like, I'm okay either way. But yeah, I did not read the email correctly.
So it sounds like both of you have struggled with reading rule books and
Yes.
emails lately.
Yes.
And Levy, on your end, I mean, of course, you've been making tons of content videos, but you've also been playing an over-the-board tournaments. Is that a trend where you're going to see continue? And what's your next OTB event?
No, it's not. I've got like a lot of stuff that I'd ideally like to work on, and over-the-board chess it's like whatever I'm feeling during the Speed Chess Championship, but like times 10. So maybe at some point in the future, but for now it's it's these kind of like events here, and I am as I'm moving through adulthood, I'm realizing that my nervous system is really not what it once was, unfortunately.
Amen.
So, hey man, you're like 2650. Get out of here. Amen. Like the top 5 Blitz player in the world. Amen.
I'm in the context of over the board chess.
Wait, how old are you guys?
I don't know.
Sus.
How old are we? Danya's a month older than me. 26?
26.
Yeah, we're 26. We're 26.
Okay.
I'm 30.
Robert's 23.
Oh.
Robert's 23. Yeah, exactly.
But well, we will let both of you get some rest. Nemo, we'll let you get back to your stream. Levy, Rozman, Nemo, thank you so much for an excellent match. Levy, congratulations, and thanks for joining us for the interview.
Wait, one last thing, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Levy, you're going to face
don't
the
mind.
winner of Eric and Tanya. I, with all due respect to Tanya, I think we probably know who you would like to face and probably trash talk a little bit with.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would be great to run it back with Eric. It's like in the UFC when, the first fight was like extremely close. So the second match hopefully doesn't disappoint. But you can't really trash talk Eric. He's like a Wobbuffet, like he's just going to spam mirror code and counter. And if you hit him with anything, he's going to hit you back twice as hard. So I got nothing but respect for Eric, but I'm definitely going to win the matchup of most washed up international master. So,
okay.
Well, we'll be excited for that match. All right. Now we'll let you go.
All right. Thank you
Bye,
guys so
guys.
much.
See
Take
ya.
All
care.
right. Bye, Nemo. Bye, Levy.
Bye.
All right. Well, as we look at the bracket here, Robert, our first I Am Not a GM match is in the books. Levy has made his way into the next stage. We've got so many other mouthwatering matchups, but a score of 19-4. This was a wire-to-wire victory.
Yeah, it really was. And it was great to hear the players' thoughts. And for Levy, maybe the trash talk he needs to do against, if he plays Eric, who is probably a sizable favorite against Tanya, it just be extra nice, because that annoys people. Like the fact that somebody it just doesn't get under their skin and all they do is be polite to you. That's what Andrew Luck used to do in the NFL. Like his way of trash talk was being like, oh, nice effort there. And it's just infuriating because you want somebody to show that kind of meanness in them. And speaking of meanness and trash talk, I mean, we don't have to look any further than Greg Shahade and Lawrence Trent. And their matchup is coming up soon. It's this week, Wednesday, May 11th at 11 a.m. Pacific.
Oh, you can't miss this match, Shahade and Trent. These are two. This is just an epic, a classic matchup. They've been tweeting at each other back and forth now for years. And this cannot come soon enough, but it will come later than another match. So not a single day goes by without some chess entertainment. Tomorrow, that's Tuesday, we will have a JSCC matchup. We'll have Hans Niemann facing off against the Serbian Grandmaster Velimir Ivic. So you certainly don't want to miss tomorrow's match either. All week this week, we will have action and chess festivities. So mark your calendars, and we will hope to see you tomorrow as well. But definitely Lawrence against, I was going to say Jeffrey, Greg. I don't know where that came from. Jeffrey Zhang against Lawrence Trent coming your way on Wednesday. But with this match in the books, Robert, I'll pass it to you for your final thoughts before we wrap up.
Yeah, I love this event. The IM GM Speeches Championship. It gives the floor to very strong players who are best known as content creators. And it just goes to show that they can play excellent chess. There are going to be blunders no matter who's playing in quick time controls, but there were some brilliant moments from both of these two, and only one can move on. It's deservedly Levy Rozman. You all know him as GothamChess, but he will continue to make his mark on this tournament, and he will await the winner of Eric Rosen versus Tanya Sashta.
Indeed, he will. Well, that's one match in the books. The next I Am Not a GM match, as Robert pointed out, is on Wednesday between Lawrence and Greg. We hope to see you there. And for now, Robert, thank you very much. Another very fun way to spend an afternoon. And thank you also to everybody in the chat on Twitch and on YouTube. We had a big crowd. Chat was rolling and excited. This is what makes these tournaments and these events so magical. And thank you as well to our producer, Matt, for another flawless broadcast. And for now, unfortunately, it's come time to wrap up our first I Am Not a GM matchup, but you won't have to wait long for more action. We hope to see you tomorrow for Neiman against Ivic. But for now, on behalf of our entire chess.com team, Grandmaster Robert Hess and Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky, wishing you a pleasant rest of your Monday. We will see you tomorrow for the JSCC. But for now, have a great rest of your Monday and goodbye.